A very good morning. You're tuned to the 9 to noon show. It's Michaela Clarke in this morning for Greg Hughes. As always, we've lots to come on the show. We've the Garda information slot coming up after 10. So if you'd like to contribute to the show today, get in touch with an issue, get in touch about an issue we're raising or raise an issue yourself. You can text or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000. You can call us on 074 91 25,000 or email comments at highlandradio.com. We've also got a Q&A about Polling Day coming up a little later as well. So if you have any questions about getting involved in Friday's presidential election, get in touch with us now with any questions you have. We're going to start though with a look at today's paper and a story that is right across the papers today, and you will have heard it on our news bulletins as well. This is in the Irish Independent. So Gardaí are investigating the alleged serious sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl in West Dublin. The incident happened overnight between Sunday and the early hours of yesterday morning at the entrance to the City West Hotel. Detectives are continuing to question a man aged in his 20s in relation to the alleged assault. An area at the entrance of the City West Hotel, which is housing international protection applicants, was earlier cordoned off to facilitate an examination by Gardaí. Detectives were alerted to the incident yesterday after the child reported the matter to care workers, who in turn contacted Gardaí. The girl is in state care but is not a resident of the Asylum Accommodation Centre. A criminal investigation was launched and a suspect was arrested by Gardaí a short time later. Although the male was detained at the City West Hotel, he had recently been residing at a separate state-run international protection centre. He's understood to have come to Ireland a number of years ago seeking asylum, and it's also reported that he was denied international protection and a deportation order was issued against him. So it's a very concerning story, and obviously for the child, they were in the care of Tusla, and it's understood that they had made a day trip to Dublin, that the child had absconded, and I don't know the in-betweens then, but it's understood that she did remain in contact with Tusla staff during that time, but then later revealed, unfortunately, the attack to them. Moving now to the Sun. A man who stabbed his former girlfriend 50 times with part of the knife still in her skull today was jailed for 14 years. Sentencing Josh O'Brien, aged 22, Miss Justice Mary Ellen Ring described the violence he used on 21-year-old Niamh Kelly as breathtaking. Such young age to receive such injuries and also to be, sentenced to 14 years. It's obviously warranted, but two young lives completely ruined there. So her survival was nothing short of a miracle, the judge said. But the young mum now lives a totally different life and will face limitations and challenges that nobody should have to endure. Miss Justice Ring added, all of this was avoidable. All of it flows from the actions of Josh O'Brien. At the time of the attack, Miss Kelly had gone to get ready for a concert the following day. She never made it to that concert, and those carefree days are gone too. While noting that O'Brien had no previous convictions, the judge said she is conscious of the significant violence to partners and ex-partners by persons without a criminal background. I saw a video of that young girl speaking outside court yesterday, and her bravery was amazing. And, she's obviously had so much medical care and so much rehabilitation, and she was told she would never walk again. And to see her then, she obviously still has a long way to go, but she's able to stand on her own and walk on her own with the aid of crutches. But just to think again that, her life is completely transformed in a negative way, that, she has to live with this now. And you can see, some of the injuries that she still lives with as well. It's very shocking. The Irish Daily Mail, the headline is, voters will make voices heard as grocery inflation rockets higher. Grocery inflation is at its highest level for almost 2 years and is over double the overall inflation rate, new figures show. The soaring supermarket prices will put the squeeze on family purses, especially as there was no relief in the budget just 2 weeks ago. The figures were released by supermarket analysts World Panel yesterday, with its business development director Emer Healy saying the next few weeks is a busy time for shoppers, but with the latest budget for 2026 being announced against a backdrop of economic uncertainty, there will be more pressure on shoppers and it may have an impact on their discretionary spending. And this is something obviously nobody wants to hear as we head towards Christmas, and there just seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel. Some of the comparisons that the Irish Daily Mail has made when comparing prices from December 2023 to prices today, a 2 litre full fat milk is up 29 cent. Half a dozen large eggs are up 13 cent. 1 kg of sirloin steak is up €4.85. 1 kg of bananas is up 19 cent. 1 pound of butter is up €1.06. Cheddar cheese is up 51 cent. 1 kg of white sugar is actually down 4 cent, and the price of potatoes, 2.5 kg was €3.74 in December 2023. It's down now to €3.66, down 8 cent. And those are everyday items that we all have, everyday staples that we have in the cupboard. The Irish Times, now I find this an interesting story. Access to science, technology, engineering and math subjects remain low in all girls' schools. A new survey has found with applied or practical STEM subjects on offer varying greatly between school types. A survey carried out earlier this year by iWish, a programme aiming to increase participation in STEM among girls, found that 55% of girls in single-sex secondary schools see limited subject choices as a barrier. This compares to 37% of girls in mixed schools, with those in all-girls schools less likely to have access to applied STEM subjects. I find this interesting because my sister went on to study engineering, so she obviously had an interest in STEM subjects, and I can't remember, she went to a mixed school, but I can't remember the exact subjects that she did study, but I don't remember them being overly STEM related. Like, I don't remember her studying maths. I'm not sure if she did a science. She might have done one science, but the concern is that if girls aren't, studying these subjects at secondary school, they might get enough points then to go on and study engineering at college or university, but they don't have that background then to help them through their further studies. And it's just another example of, we talk about gender pay gap in employment, but to think that gender gap exists in education as well. Now, the Irish Daily Mirror. A man has pleaded guilty to stalking a social media influencer who alleged he followed her from a street into a hotel lift and then to her room holding a belt while staring at her. Dennis Morris, 24, appeared at Dublin District Court yesterday when Judge Teresa Kelly noted he was pleading guilty. She adjourned sentencing until November the 10th for prosecution facts and a victim impact statement to be heard. The judge will also consider if it's necessary to order a pre-sentence probation report. I think that it's the right case, but I think this influencer has already outlined the incident on social media. I'm not sure if she has taken it down since, but if it's very, very similar if it is the same case. But she highlighted the whole thing and discussed how she took precautions thinking that was protecting her safety, and then this man allegedly followed her into the hotel, was in the lift with her. She documents it all about how he got into the hotel, how he entered the lift and how he followed her to her room. And it was very frightening because of all the steps that she did take, if it is the same case, was just crazy. It's something that maybe every day we wouldn't think of doing, but she was, aware of her own safety and did take precautions, and then this still happened. But I'm not sure if she's since removed it or if that is what the implications of her posting that video could be for the trial. Finally, the Irish Daily Star. There have been over 11,000 applications to the two Garda recruitment competitions held in 2025. The latest competition, which closed on October the 9th, attracted 4,334 applications. This comes after the competition held in February received more than 6,784 applications. Of these, 57% were first-time applicants to a Garda recruitment competition. The September-October competition saw continued strong interest from people over 30, with 40% of applicants in this age category. In the February campaign, it was 42%. The current number of Gardaí is 14,325 as of September the 30th. At the moment, there are 564 Garda trainees in training. It's great to see such a positive uptake and the interest in applying to be a member of An Garda Síochána. And, we get the press releases every so often about how many new recruits are going to be stationed across the county, and unfortunately Donegal does get quite a low number despite there being so many representations calling for additional Garda resources here from people involved on the ground, from local councillors following an incident, but hopefully there will be a turning point and we will get more Gardaí here in the county. But it is positive to see so many interested in such a career, and particularly those that are older, so they might think, although over 30 isn't old at all, but they think maybe once they hit a certain age that they can't apply. But it was great this year, whenever we saw the new, them graduating from the Garda College. There was I can't remember his name, but he was from Ahiarn, the new guard, and I can't remember what age he was, but he joined later in life, and it's great to see that, if you want to follow that career, that you can indeed. If you've got a view on any of those stories that are in the papers today, get in touch by giving us a call on 074 9125000 or text or WhatsApp 086 60 25000. And as I mentioned, you can also email comments@highlandradio.com.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
Forward Festival presents the Coronas, plus special guests. Bank Holiday Sunday, 26th of October in the Marquee, Letterkenny at Kiltoy. Tickets available from forwardfestival.ie. That's the Coronas, Letterkenny, 26th of October. Get your tickets now.
Us pigeons see everything when we're flapping around up here.
Well, almost everything.
See, burning certain fuels releases invisible toxic pollutants, which can trigger asthma and lead to serious illness. So, if you're going to light a fire in your home, make sure to use low smoke fuel. Oh, and never wing it burning rubbish.
Choosing low smoke fuel is better for all of us. Let's clear the air for everyone. And remember to clean chimneys and heating appliances at least once a year. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana continues to be Donegal's go-to destination for stunning bathroom makeovers. With a vast selection of premium tiles and bathroom products, our showroom is your ultimate one-stop shop for crafting the perfect space. We've earned our reputation through expert advice, unbeatable prices and a dedication to customer satisfaction. Visit our showroom in Cockhill and Buncrana and see why we've been Donegal's top choice for 50 years and counting. Call us at 07493 63050.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9am until 5pm and on Saturdays from 9am until 3:30pm. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Granny, did you hear what I said?
If you've been saying, "What was that?" a bit more lately, it might be time to have your hearing checked. At Connect Hearing, we don't just fit hearing aids, we help you hear life again. From tiny in-the-ear styles to Bluetooth connected devices, we fit the best solution for you. Call 074 911 3296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time is now 18 minutes past 9. Now, every year we hear about Shoebox Appeals, and it's an annual campaign to deliver gifts to children who need it. I'm joined now by CEO of Team Hope, Deborah Lowry. Good morning to you, Deborah.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. So, Deborah, what are you looking for this year?
Well, this year is actually our 15th anniversary of Team Hope, and over that period of time the people of Ireland have managed to donate and package up 2.8 million Christmas shoeboxes delivered to over 38 countries in that space of time. So we want to make this year 2025, the biggest ever, and really try and reach that 3 millionth mark, which obviously we can think of a shoebox, but if you think of every single shoebox as a child, really, so it would be incredible if we can encourage everyone, as always, to get involved. Donegal has been brilliant over the years. We've got 5 different centres throughout Donegal, in Dunfanaghy, Portnew, Buncrana, Letterkenny, and Annagry. And even over the last 3 years, Donegal itself as a region have donated something like almost 30,000 Christmas shoeboxes. So
yes, huge figures.
Yeah, just more of the same. And these shoeboxes are not just obviously they're filled with wonderful things that bring the child joy on the day. But we talk about the 4 W's: to wash, to wear, to write, and something to wow. But I think more importantly, it's that invisible gifts that we don't see of joy and hope and love that these children, thousands and thousands of kilometers away, when they open that box, they think that somebody very far away that they will never meet has thought about them. So there's something pretty special about that, both for the people doing it here and the children particularly doing it here, but also very much so for the children receiving it and their parents watching that as well.
And it's great to see that spirit reflected here. The people in Donegal, as you mentioned, almost 30,000 shoeboxes sent over the last 3 years. Where exactly, what parts of the world do these shoeboxes go to?
Yeah, well, I mean, last year's shoeboxes just from Donegal itself went to Eswatini in Africa, Burkina Faso, Malawi, and Albania, and that's just Donegal's boxes. Last year they went to 13 different countries, and as I said, over the 15 years, something like 38 countries. And I was very fortunate to get to Malawi in March, Malawi and Lesotho, and oh my goodness, if I could bottle up the joy and the absolute wonder seeing a couple hundred children sitting under a tree at their little school, opening these boxes. If we could somehow bottle that and bring it back and show everyone at home, it would just be incredible. And obviously, when we were in Malawi as well, a lot of these shoeboxes really just act as a gateway, and I don't think people in Ireland recognise that. So obviously, they're doing it this time of year. They're packaging up. There's various bits and pieces to put in the Christmas shoebox. But when we get to those communities, particularly in Africa, we try and stay. So we're trying to look beyond the box and looking at communities that really need our help the most. And so in Malawi, for instance, we'd started a little pig farm because they had been absolutely hammered over the last few years with weather and drought and hurricanes, and crops are not very resilient to all of those environmental challenges. So pigs are very robust little animals, who knew? So we sponsored a piggery project, and as a result of that, women in particular are managing that project, but as a result of that, children are eating better. They're able to afford to buy school uniforms to go to school, and it's just the ripple effect that it all starts with the simple act of schools or businesses or sports clubs getting involved in filling shoeboxes. And
I suppose that's the aim of, this shoebox appeal, raising the awareness. But as you mentioned there's so much additional support that can be delivered. But this is a small step for people to help and for Team Hope to raise awareness as well.
It absolutely is. And, we have a very small window every year to talk about Christmas way too early before Halloween. But as you said, it's much more. Team Hope's work goes all year round. And we're serving the most vulnerable of children throughout. We deliberately work in countries where there isn't much aid, where there isn't much help, and work with very trusted partners. And we're a team of 7 ourselves, so we couldn't do any of this. A special shout out this morning when I am on air to all the volunteers, not just in Donegal but throughout Ireland, because they make it work. We have something like 2,500 volunteers that support the operation in Ireland, and then a similar amount in our partner countries throughout Africa and Eastern Europe. And just got a new centre started in Tyrone this year as well. So it is continuing to grow. The interest is there. And I think, too often when we switch on our news, with all due respect to radio and news, but all we hear is bad news. And I think Team Hope and the Christmas Shoebox Appeal in particular really demonstrates that the world is full of kindness, and there's plenty to go around. And it's a really brilliant way for parents and others to teach that act of kindness in a very simple manner, really. But the effects are just, as I said, if I could show the impact it has when you meet these children and hand over this small cardboard box that
The
just
difference it makes
comes
to
with so
their
much
lives.
more than just toothpaste and cuddly toys. There's so much more because the kids get it. The kids absolutely get that message that somebody has thought about them very far away.
And what kind of items, Deborah, are you looking for these shoe boxes?
Yeah, it's the very typical four W's we talk about. It's quite easy to remember if we look at it in that regard. So first W is something to write with. So it could be a copybook, an exercise book, some coloring pencils, something to wear. So socks, pants, little woolly hats, nice little t-shirts, things that are pack up small. Something to write, something to wear, something to wash with. So again, the toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, a little face cloth, and then something to wow. So it could be a cuddly toy, it could be a yo-yo, it could be a tennis ball, some sunglasses. I've managed to get a leather football in mine the last few years, just pack it up small, deflate it. And on the football, actually, we just got Rafo Football Club. I've actually just came on board this year as well. So yeah, those four W's are very important. And we say things that shouldn't go in the box, and that's important as well, because we think chocolate is always nice at Christmas, but chocolate doesn't travel very well in the heat. So, but sweets like Haribo's are fine, and liquids, so shampoo or things like that, or even some of the little toys have liquid inside them. And unfortunately, if that liquid spills in one box, it might damage the entire carton that it's gone in, and nobody wants a wet, soggy box when they're receiving their
No.
gift. So.
And Deborah, if anybody is interested and they want to help but don't necessarily maybe have the time to do a shoebox themselves, can they make a donation?
They can indeed. Everything is on our website, www.teamhope.ie. But the other aspect, if people don't have time to do a shoebox, we have created over the last 5+ years the online shoebox. So it's almost like Build a Bear, but build a box. And those boxes, those donations go, so you can go on and actually it feels like you're building your box on the website. But those are critical as well because they get into countries, Rwanda and Kenya, we aren't allowed to bring Christmas shoe boxes into. But in those countries over the last few years, we started a project a few years ago in Rwanda, a little small seamstress business with a few sewing machines and ladies making school uniforms of the like, as a little cottage industry almost. And those same ladies last year, through the Christmas shoebox appeal online, created 4,500 school bags, brightly coloured, as you can imagine, African colours, for the kids. And then those items then were bought in country. So it's a lovely way to get involved, and you don't have to go through trying to find a box or trying to wrap it, which is a challenge as well. So yeah, online shoe boxes or online donations are very much appreciated and make a huge difference as well.
Yeah, and I remember myself, at school we did it every year, and it was a lovely, it reminded me that this is the start of Christmas, but it was a lovely thing to do. And whenever I'd be putting it together with my mum, thinking that I'm connecting with a child on the other side of the world as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Like after this morning, I'm heading because I'm from Castledirk, so I'm working from home, but heading to Dublin this evening. But I'm heading to St Mary's School in Pettigo this morning. Small school, 54 pupils, but they are so behind it. They have been for years, as have many schools. And like you said, we are finding, but as well, there's that little nostalgia element where people used to do it, like yourself, and then they left school and then they stopped. So we're really encouraging people to get back. At, even if you don't have children, to get back at it, because we really need every single person in Ireland to consider it at least. And there's nothing better. Quite selfishly, we do feel really good about doing something. But if you can tell that story when you're doing it with a child or doing it with friends at work or in your sports club, and we're really lucky that because we are a small organisation, we know exactly where every box goes to. So I can. January, February, I can tell, the Donegal centres where their boxes have gone to, show them beautiful imagery and pictures. And we know that they're, 100% genuine. So, and we can continue to tell the story of those children. I mean, I think earlier in the press, when we first went out with the Christmas shoebox appeal a few weeks ago, there was a young man, he's 37 now, Addis, who received a shoebox when he was living in Lithuania, almost 30 years ago. And he's now, he's lived in Drogheda. He's came to Ireland when he was 11 or 12, but he's lived in Drogheda most of his life. But he's now doing shoe boxes, not just with his own children. He married an Irish girl. He's 3 kids. but doing shoeboxes through his workplace, one of the main organisers at his workplace in Drogheda. So it's a beautiful ripple effect. And talking to him, I got to meet him in person a few weeks ago, and he remembers being very hungry at home and these shoeboxes arriving after a Christmas play or something. But he said what struck him then, he can't quite remember what was in the box. I guess it's almost 30 years ago. But that feeling he still remembers, and hearing him talking about it was so emotive, really, that he was still
amazing.
Those feelings of that somebody thought about him and that there was hope, really. So really encouraging. Yeah.
And that's lovely then, as you mentioned, that ripple effect. Now he's doing it then with his colleagues at work as well. Deborah, remind us in Donegal, where is the drop-off centres?
Well, the five main centres, I'm not sure where the exact drop-in centres, but they'll all be listed on our website from tomorrow, actually, or the 24th of October. So the main places are Dunfanaghy, Buncrana, Portnew, Letterkenny, Annagray, and as I said, there's a new one in Tyrone as well, in Omagh. So
great. And all information is on teamhope.ie. Deborah Lowry, CEO of Team Hope, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Wonderful. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you. Have a good day.
We'll be back again in a couple of minutes.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The Highland Radio Country Music Weekend is almost here at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, Friday 31st of October and Saturday 1st of November. On Friday night, it's Patrick Finney and his band, then myself, David James and band. Saturday night, enjoy Jordan McPollan, Stacey Breen, followed by Michael English and his band. Spaces are limited, so book yours now at clanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
At Foy's, with expert teams in both Letterkenny and Ballybuffet, we deliver professional interior design and colour consultations for both residential and commercial projects. Whether it's a cosy living room or a full renovation, we offer personalised design advice and premium paint choices tailored to your style. See foys.ie or call in store today to Foy's in Letterkenny or Ballybuffet, and let's bring your vision to life.
T-Shirt Express has moved. You'll now find us beside C&M Embroidery, Lismonaghan, Letterkenny. We're still your go-to spot for custom T-shirts, workwear, gifts and balloons. Just in a fresh new location. You can still reach us on the same number, 086 343 3504. T-Shirt Express, now beside C&M Embroidery, Lismonaghan, Letterkenny.
At SuperValue, get real savings this Halloween and stock up for the bank holiday. Fresh Irish meats like mince, 3 for €10. For trick-or-treating, 3 for €5 and selected soft drinks, crisps and sweets like Cadbury Freddos 4 packs. And with your Real Rewards card, get Haribo sharing bags like Star Mix, €2 each. SuperValue. Real savings, real difference. DRS applies.
Coltis, Ceoltarí Éireann a Lethar Cargis, I Celliar in the Gangle. Ihe specialta land the Heol, Aran agus Dausa, Jamarch and Ortu Lesfihe, Jerry Fower, Ega Hort, in Erklan and Rianan, Letcher Canning, Mar Hudge da Doris Nashanta. Be a Lethar Hum Tahia El, or na Ceoltarí, na Hauranihe, Agus na Dausari Traditiona Isfar in Éireann, Le Tractorat o Kiana Campbell, agus Jermit de Fuiche. Take out your fuel on Buxa Offige, or see you Grace on the Herklanya, na o Wild de Vranche Letcher Canning de Holtus.
Hello, it's Joe Duffy here. I've been fortunate through my work with the National Lottery to meet some extraordinary good causes, from boxing clubs, wildlife conservation to community cafes. Did you know National Lottery players raise over €4.5 million every week for good causes all over Ireland? And that's all thanks to you, the players. You made this possible. Support responsibly. Average figures based on 2024 financials.
Welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Now, we talked during the paper review at the start of the show in relation to a alleged sexual assault on a girl on the grounds of the City West Hotel. It's been confirmed that a man has been charged in connection with that sexual assault, and he's due in court later this morning. Now, the HSE is facing a bill of €7.4 million for destroying PPE. I'm joined by Dr. Peter O'Rourke, retired consultant orthopaedic surgeon. Good morning to you, Dr. O'Rourke.
Hello.
So in terms of this, you'll understand this a bit more than myself working within the healthcare sector. In terms of €7.4 million, it's a huge cost. What's your view on this?
I don't know why they're destroying it. this is equipment that is designed to protect the staff, not causing any risk to patient. I mean, we use sterile equipment. For instance, if you're carrying out surgery, you put on a sterile gown to prevent any contamination of the patient. But with PPE, it is designed purely to protect the staff. So the equipment, it doesn't need to be sterile. Any sterile stuff has a best before date after which you can't use it. But the equipment we're talking about is gowns, plastic aprons, hats and things like that do not have a real best before date. So the idea of destroying it and spending $7 million or in excess of $7 million to destroy it seems ridiculous, because we may need this stuff again.
And what is the reasoning? Is there any best before date at all put on these items?
To be honest, I'm sure the manufacturers put a best before date, but the best before date will relate to sterile use of this stuff. But I can imagine that most of this stuff, it'll end up in landfill, or it might have to even to be incinerated, though God knows why, because it's not a risk to anybody. There's no infection risk or anything like that. But I mean, we're talking about plastic and probably paper gowns, which are coated with some material to prevent them being to make them water resistant. And, you know, this stuff will not decay over time. I'm not quite sure if it goes into a landfill, it'll still be there in 30 or 50 years. So why they need to destroy it when we may need it in the future? And when you think back to COVID times, there was not far short of panic every day in hospitals when we were looking to get PPE and we were waiting for deliveries. We weren't sure if they're going to happen. We were literally at times down to the last few hundred gowns that we needed, and there was, you know, real concern. We were looking to any opportunity to, you know, get something that we could use as PPE, and the idea now to be destroying millions of worth of PPE and spending $7 million to do it seemed absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the PPE, you know, it's something that is used all day. Could this be that there has been an excess of orders, or do you understand why they are being destroyed to such a scale?
No, I can't understand why. Regardless of what you know, the storage costs. I mean, even to the idea if they're spending $7 million to offset $1 million a year storage costs makes no sense, because you know, in 7 years' time, the chance of having another pandemic are probably reasonable. So it seems like spending an awful lot of money to save a relatively small amount in comparison. So I don't understand the logic behind it.
And obviously this 7.4 million euro, the thought of that being invested elsewhere in the health service, you know, say here in Donegal, improving services, that would go such a long way.
Yes. Donegal has been underinvested medically for years. But, I mean, that's why, for instance, the biggest provider of surgical services in Donegal are the NTPF. They used to have a budget of 100 million. Now they have a budget of about 350 million. And in Donegal, if you're put on a surgical waiting list, the chance of the NTPF contacting you within days, if not weeks, is very high. So if they invested 7 million or more in Donegal and put extra beds, etc., in, they would ultimately have saved money rather than increasing the budget of the NTPF by factors of 3 or 4 over the years.
Yeah, it just feels to make sense that, you know, when you think, as you outlined there, you know, this is gowns we're talking about. It's not going to take up a massive amount of storage room, you know, and you mentioned, you know, considering we could have another pandemic, that, you know, this isn't going to go, it's not like medication that it needs to be used within a certain date. It just doesn't make sense at all.
No, it really, really doesn't. What you're talking about is paper and plastic, which doesn't break down over time. Now, you'd have to store it in somewhere dry, but most of this stuff is packed individually anyway and is protected from the elements because it has to be kept sterile. So this is sterile equipment whose sterility is no longer valid, but it doesn't need to be sterile for the purposes which it would be used.
Yeah. Dr. Peter O'Rourke, retired consultant orthopaedic surgeon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And yeah, 7.4 million euro to destroy PPE. As Dr. O'Rourke was saying there, it just doesn't make sense that, you know, you can store it easily and there will be no damage really to it. Some of your comments now. Attack on a child, that story that we were referencing there. Who allowed these thugs into your country? They also should be arrested. In terms of the cost of living, profit details for the entire Dunnes Stores company in 2023 are not publicly available because it is a privately owned company. However, its Northern Ireland arm reported a pre-tax profit of £12.7 million for the year ending December the 29th, 2023, which was a significant increase from the £3.7 million reported in 2022. This was its most profitable year in the region for a decade and represented a threefold increase in profit. We all love fireworks at Halloween, but mostly it's adults setting them off, and care is taken when doing it. This week we have heard and watched young teens in our area letting them off. Do they or their parents have any comprehension of the dangers in letting them off? Someone is going to lose a hand if this continues. How are underage teens buying these? I was out for a walk recently in Derry, and I was there with my dog, and thankfully she doesn't bat an eyelid to fireworks, but there was two young boys had set them off, and where they were, they were throwing the fireworks over a walkway, and it was quite a populated area at the time, and never mind them blowing a hand off themselves, that could have easily hit somebody out walking. And there was other dogs in the area who were very unsettled by the fireworks, and that one, it was quite a huge dog, and to think that it could have maybe broke free from its owner, and it was just in such a state of distress. But just I don't mind them either. I actually love going to watch the fireworks, but it's just the dangers of them to those throwing them themselves, and if it hits somebody as well. I'm joined now in studio by Joseph Sweeney, who is the president of the Students' Union of Ireland at ATU. Good morning to you, Joseph.
Morning.
How are you today?
All good.
Good. So you're planning for a big day tomorrow. So the ATU and all technological universities across Ireland are staging a walkout tomorrow. What is behind this?
So essentially, it's a protest that's been organised from ourselves and across our AMLA partners, the Unions of Ireland, essentially to protest the lack of, or the inequalities in support for technological universities as opposed to the more sort of traditional universities. Essentially, we believe that we're currently in a two-tier education system where the TUs are not getting funded equally in comparison to traditional universities. We believe that there's a stigma that still exists between from the top down of this country that essentially the TUs are just not good enough or not worthy.
And what are some of those things? Somebody engaging with that education system. What are those things that you experience daily?
So it depends on it's about creating a better atmosphere and creating better facilities for students. So like, for example, TUs across the country are without on-campus student purpose-built accommodation. So currently there's no TU borrowing framework which would allow us, or technological universities rather, to borrow money needed to build these student accommodation buildings.
And we've covered that story a number of times in relation to the lack of accommodation for students, and the ATU had issued a call out. But how severe is that accommodation situation?
It's really, really bad. Now, in fairness, there was a great turnout in terms of our accommodation campaign from landlords across Donegal. We had over 700 rooms made available this time out, but there's a certain extent to where it's time then to build student accommodation of our own to house more, because the university is getting bigger and bigger. As we expand, as the ATU merger progresses, and as we get to a bigger university. But there's an increasing demand, and that needs to be supplied, because we will get to a stage where, and we're already there, that there'll be so many students coming up from, say, likes of Cork, Dublin, coming up to study in Donegal, always or wherever it may be, that simply just won't have anywhere to stay, and they have to travel back and forth the entire time, and it's not suitable if you want to study, particularly if you're looking to study full time.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking, and it's that added pressure of, I suppose, in the lead up of moving to college, searching for accommodation, the worry for parents and for the students themselves, and then just not being able to find it and being forced to travel. It's when there's so much time taken up studying anyway that they just can't physically do that.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it's full on in terms of, particularly if taking on a full time course, you're there 4 or 5 days a week. You need somewhere. You need to be in a suitable and appropriate location, and sort of living situation to be able to manage that, particularly as well with a lot of students, given the increase in fees and such, that you'll need to be managing part-time work potentially as well. So yeah, it's a call for more support for particularly ATU, MTU.
Would you say that is the biggest concern?
Well, I mean, there's a number of concerns, but particularly from our side, and our sort of from our role as students, particularly, it would be. There's other concerns as well in terms of postgraduate spended fees. There was a promise that ensuring payment of full 25,000 for all postgraduate spended fees, but TU's currently we're claiming that we haven't received that funding to be able to level that up. Professorships as well. I mean, from sort of a lecturer and staff side, there's no clear structure and pathway for promotion in terms of getting to that professorship title. And so what you're left with then is people, or academics and senior staff, waiting and waiting for opportunities to become open. And then, in the meantime, they're looking at traditional universities, or they're looking abroad at opportunities that they can actually, progress their careers.
And obviously the ATU, it's doing such great work and offering so many courses, and it's building year on year, and you want to retain that staff as well. And it's no fault of the ATU, but it's just the processes that are in place at the minute.
Yeah, it's the current structures in place. Like, when ATU merged from the legacy, LYT, GMT, so on, it should have been a platform to create a stronger university. And in many ways it has. Of course it has. And, the growth is happening all the time, and we encourage it. But, there's a belief that the government essentially view these TU mergers as just cost-cutting exercises. So just getting rid of duplication of services. You go from 4 presidents on every campus to 1 president on every campus, for example. When really it shouldn't be a cost-cutting exercise at all. It should be a platform to then grow the services in other areas, such as student accommodation, such as pathways for postgraduate and things like that.
And particularly here in Donegal, and in the northwest as it is, there is the need for that. There is the need for the ATU and for it to be expanded, and all those issues that you've highlighted so far, they need to be addressed to allow the ATU expand to meet the need here in Donegal.
Yeah, well, there's an increasing need all the time, and it has, in terms of services here, it has improved. So there's more people traveling up, more courses are becoming available all the time. We're seeing it now. Sometimes at our campus it would be quite quiet on the Fridays, but because of the more campuses, it's busy the whole week through.
Yeah.
And so we need the services, we need the supply to match that demand.
And were these all promises that were made when that merger was happening?
Yeah, well, certainly in terms of sort of the postgraduate fees and things like that, these were promises that were made by the government that just haven't been held up, because whether it be they just don't view it as priority, because it's just, the TU's up in the northwest, but if you're looking to merge these universities, and these mergers are encouraged by the government to essentially to create stronger universities. They need to match that up with action now. They need to match that up with support, financial support for over a variety of different services.
Yeah, and in terms of, I'm just looking at some of the points that you have stated in relation to the walkout tomorrow. Increased funding to ensure that courses are taught through the medium of Irish. Are there any courses at all that are taught through Irish at the minute?
Very, very little. Very, very, across the country, very, very little. So it wouldn't even, it's obviously in the TU aspect we're looking for this, but across the country as well, there is very little courses, and particularly if you consider the areas where, TUs exist, so Cork, Kerry, Donegal, large, Irish-speaking bases, that there's just such a lack of courses that are available for Irish speakers to learn the language, but also learn whatever subject they wish in that language. Support for more courses to become available will naturally lead to more people inclined to take up those courses, because there's a better variety of options to choose from.
Yeah.
If you're an Irish speaker and there's a subject where you're not particularly fond of, you'll just go into the English-speaking version of that. But we should try and be promoting both languages as best as possible, particularly if Irish is our first language.
Yeah, because primary and secondary schools are making such great efforts, and you want that to continue. And as you mentioned here, even in Letterkenny, what the schools are doing in terms of the Irish language, to be able to offer then that further education, it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, no, it's definitely improving. Definitely can't say it isn't across the board. But then you hit a stopgap then when it comes to third level education, and there's just not the opportunities then to expand on that.
And you will have an ear to the ground among students. Are these all issues that they feel that, not that they're being discriminated against, but there is a difference between, say, if we say traditional universities, the ATU has university status, do they feel that they are being treated differently?
Yeah, I believe, particularly if you look at the likes of the accommodation issue, for example, particularly these traditional universities, there was 3 projects announced in the recent budget for growth of, new student accommodation being built, all in universities, nothing in the TU sector at all. There's been no accommodation built since the 2000s for a TU sector. There was one, but that, it was an IT issue, it was a legacy issue there. So, but since the 2000s, there's been pretty much nothing in terms of the TU sector getting further accommodation at all, because there's no framework to borrow this money to actually build this accommodation. And as I believe, coming from conversations from senior government officials and student bodies and those sort of conversations, there's a belief that they look at the TUs and they think that there's they don't have the capacity or they don't have the knowledge to build these accommodations, which is a bizarre comment.
Yeah, because actually there was an Oireachtas committee recently, and I think a member from the ATU spoke at it, and they had done so much research. They had identified lands in Letterkenny that accommodation could be built on. So that's flies in the face of that.
Well, there's been it's been pushed from the ATU university level from their senior officials for a long time now. There's been lands identified in Letterkenny, in Galway, and in Sligo, but the options is there. We're pushing this. We're ATU have offered to trial a possible TU framework as a trial basis, but there's not been enough support. There's not been enough commitment to actually look at this issue and try and do something on it and action it.
Yeah, and it's amazing that the current students are doing this now, because this is for future generations as well to come.
Yeah, and it will be for future generations, but the call needs to happen now, because we have been waiting a long time for this. I did 3 years, obviously, as an undergraduate in law, and these issues weren't even considered, to be honest, in terms of from a government level. They just it's always been lobbied. There's always been letters sent, but now is the time for a real diverse set of actions, and this is one of them, to walk out of classes and to show across the nation that this is an issue, that students recognise it and that staff recognise it as well. Yeah. And they've been very supportive of the walkout and, across the board.
Yeah, because that professorship that you mentioned earlier, that is hugely important for the staff, but in terms of the education that is being provided at TUs right across the country as well.
Yeah, well, it affects everything. It affects it affects the level of education that the students are getting, the level of education that the staff are able to afford. Because if you're in a TU and the system is essentially wait for a vacancy and then you're able to promote it to a more senior position, you're not going to stay there for 10, 20, 30. You see this across the board in Ireland, across public jobs. You're not going to stay there and just wait for that vacancy to appear to hopefully apply for it and get it. You're going to move. You're going to look at your other options. You're going to look at your traditional universities, Trinity, UCD, UCC, maybe abroad as well. So we are losing, academics, and we're losing the potential to grow, and we're losing the potential to learn more.
Yeah. So that is tomorrow. The walkout is happening at 12 noon, and you'd obviously be calling for support for this.
Yeah, well, look, we're calling for support for this, but we want all students to essentially walk out of their classes at 12 o'clock and to join us outside. It's really important that everybody gets behind this, because, as I say, this is for now and this is for the future, and this affects students and staff across the board of all TUs. We need to show that this is an issue that we recognise, and we need to talk about it, and we need to force action, because it is about time that we bring something forward on this.
Yeah. Joseph Sweeney, President of the Students' Union at ATU in Donegal, thank you so much for calling up this morning, and good luck with the walkout tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
PTSB has Ireland's lowest rate for personal loans, from 25 to 75,000 euro. So from new wheels to home renovations, we're here for your next highlight. Apply today at ptsb.ie. PTSB, altogether more human. Lowest rate source ccpc.ie, 18 September 2025, excluding green loans. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply, subject to affordability assessment. Security may be required. Over 18s only. Warning, if you do not meet the repayments on your loan, your account will go into arrears. This may affect your credit rating, which may limit your ability to access credit, a hire purchase agreement, a consumer hire agreement, or a BNPL agreement in the future. Permanent TSB PLC trading as PTSB is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Shannon Airport has handy parking, famously short queues, great people, seamless security and amazing destinations. It's the shortcut to your next holiday, like Broadway in New York, croissants in Paris, tapas in Madrid, or reindeer rides in Lapland. So whatever the destination, enjoy a hassle-free airport experience. Shannon Airport, making it easy.
Make this Christmas unforgettable at Encourage Hotel in the heart of Donegal's Wild Atlantic Way. Enjoy cosy family rooms, selection boxes and hot chocolate for the kids, plus tickets to Errigal Pet Zoo's magical Santa experience, complete with reindeer grotto and festive fun for all. Book your Santa experience at Encourage today at encouragehotel.com.
When you hear these names, you'll think tries and tackles. But off the pitch, Jamieson Gibson Park surfs. Tygburn bakes. And Ryan Baird fishes. Game-changing talent isn't always what you expect. Just like Vodafone Business. We're experts in more than you might think, with cybersecurity, cloud solutions, and collaboration tools. So your business can change the game. Search Your Business Can.
There's any number of new cars out there, but do the numbers add up? With the stylish Peugeot 2008, Fastback 3008 and spacious 5008 electric and hybrid range, they really do. Enjoy a €500 Dunnes Stores gift card, a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty, and for electric cars we'll add a free 3-year service plan and a home charger. Order your 261 Peugeot today at McGinley Motors, your main Peugeot dealer in County Donegal. Offer ends December 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in-store or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
Today's weather, mostly cloudy with showery outbreaks of rain and drizzle this morning. Scattered showers and sunny spells will develop through the day. Highest temperatures of 10 to 11 degrees in moderate to fresh west to northwest winds. It does look very blustery out there this morning, and unfortunately, just the weather seems to be definitely hitting that winter element at the moment. We have the Community Garda information slot coming up after 10, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And a little later in the show as well, we'll be having a Q&A on polling day, as the presidential election takes place on Friday. People have the choice to elect either Catherine Connolly or Heather Humphreys to be the next president of Ireland. So if you have any questions with regards to what you need to bring to the polling station, where you need to go, what the process is, get in touch by calling us on 074 91 25000, or you can text or WhatsApp at 086 60 25000, or email comments at highlandradio.com. The news at 10 o'clock is coming up in a couple of minutes.
Tugan vaccini neart breise go de choras im Nienachta, chun tú chosin ser chinnes trom chúiseach. Maltarhuic vaccine flu oil, má tá tú seaca blin díos nó níos sinna, más aibrí cuairim sláinte hu, má tá tú gumpar clina, nó má tá rucht sláinte fad sermachart. Maltarhuic vaccine COVID-19 oil freshen, má tá tú seaca blin díos nó níos sinna, nó má tá rucht sláinte fad sermachart. Cur vaccine le de lista rudí atá le dana, agus cosan hu hain agus de hailachs na mian amach roin. Laur le doctor nó cógasúr ran fortach, no tour court or HSE.ie le haid chilla Olish. Own HSE.
My Future Fund, the new auto-enrollment retirement savings scheme, is coming. You pay in, your employer pays in, and the state tops it up. It all adds up to a great way to save for your future and something to look forward to. For more information, visit gov.ie/auto-enrollment. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
Why wait till December? Get Christmas sorted early at Irwin Expert Electrical. The latest Apple and Samsung tech, a Sage coffee machine, even a Dyson or Shark hair care treat. Secure it now with our free Christmas club. Spread the cost, lock in the price, and we'll store it till you're ready. No stress, no panic, just smart shopping made easy. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
It's the concert everyone has been waiting for. Join us for the Highland Radio Christmas concert on Tuesday, December the 9th at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. It's a star-studded lineup of country music starring Derek Ryan, Mike Denver, Jerry Guthrie, Keith and Lorraine McDonald from the Showband Show, Des Willoughby, and me, David James, and my band. Tickets are just €30 and now available at highlandradio.com from the Mount Errigal Hotel reception or by giving us a call on 074 91 25000. Overnight accommodation packages available, so don't miss the Highland Radio Christmas concert at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Tuesday the 9th of December.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. Elected members of Lifford and Stranorlar Municipal District have passed their 2026 draft budgetary plan with a fund of €150,000 agreed. It will see an allocation of €25,000 to each member to be allocated at their discretion. Director of Finance Richard Gibson outlined at the beginning of his presentation that the statutory requirement to agree a draft MD budget ahead of setting out the county-wide budget doesn't make sense. This was later echoed by Councillor Gary Doherty. Inishowen Municipal District is to meet later today to set theirs. A man has been charged in connection with the alleged sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl in Dublin. The child, who had absconded from the care of Tusla during a visit to town, was allegedly assaulted in the City West Hotel in Saggart in the early hours of Monday morning. The man in his 20s was arrested yesterday, and Gardaí say he's due before Blanchardstown District Court later this morning. They're also appealing to any witnesses who were in the area to come forward. The local GAA club in Newton Cunningham is asking those responsible for breaking into their clubhouse over the weekend to come forward. A spokesperson of Niamh Colin Kill says the storeroom had been forced open and damage was done to the roller door as a result. They say they'll not tolerate the behaviour anymore, citing it was not the first time it happened. A direct appeal to the culprits has now been made to contact any committee member if they want to make amends. CCTV cameras are in place, and the clubs say that identifying those responsible will not be difficult. The last debate of the presidential election campaign takes place tonight. Catherine Connolly and Heather Humphreys will go head-to-head for the final time on RTE's prime time shortly after 9:30. The latest opinion polls show the independent candidate is in the lead, but a large portion of voters remain undecided. Political correspondent Sean Defoe says tonight's debate will focus on familiar topics once again.
The big obvious one is Catherine Connolly's legal work. That's what Fine Gael has wanted to make the last few days and indeed the days into the campaign about, and really going hard on both sides. And you're even seeing some Fine Gael TDs quoted anonymously in the newspapers this morning saying they think maybe Fine Gael is going a bit too hard on this. You had Jim O'Callaghan yesterday basically defending Catherine Connolly.
Police in Derry are appealing to the public to refrain from engaging in antisocial behaviour. Typically, with the Halloween season drawing nearer, there is an increase in the number of reports. They say there will be patrols in the city to ensure everybody's safety. Britain's Prince Andrew is under fresh scrutiny as the posthumous memoir of his sex accuser is published. In Virginia Giuffre's book, Nobody's Girl, she refers to 3 alleged encounters with the former Duke of York. He's always denied any wrongdoing. The British royal family said to believe all allegations should be appropriately examined. PR expert Mark Borkowski thinks the palace must act fast.
He has to be cut loose, totally and utterly. I mean, this is about survival of the monarchy for the generation coming up. And they'll look at this story in many values that they hold dear to a very different type of society now. And this is the worst example of keeping somebody still in the game.
The US president says the ceasefire in Gaza is still in place. It's despite rising tensions in recent days when 2 Israeli soldiers were killed and around 45 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes. US Vice President J.D. Vance is travelling to Israel today to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu, and Donald Trump says the pressure's on to keep the ceasefire in place.
We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas, and as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that. Some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
Hydrant repair works may cause supply disruptions to Dunniloop, Castlefin and surrounding areas. There'll be traffic management in place as the works are ongoing, and they're scheduled to take place until 1:15 this afternoon. Looking out to weather, mostly cloudy with showery outbreaks of rain or drizzle this morning. Scattered showers and sunny spells will develop through the day with highest temperatures of 10 to 11 degrees. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Tuesday morning, October 21st. The death has occurred of Ricard Gallagher, Glenties and 4 Stevens Place, Belfast. Funeral Mass in St Connell's Church, Glenties this afternoon at 1:30, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. House private this morning, no flowers please. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Listen, you weren't kidding about pet insurance. I should have got it. Just had Piper at the vet's. She ate what is turning out to be the most expensive bar of chocolate of all time. Don't worry, she's fine. My bank account? Not so much.
Real life. Written by you, underwritten by Allianz. Protect your pet with 12% off new pet insurance policies at allianz.ie. Allianz PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria and terms and conditions apply.
Now, welcome back to the 9 till noon show. It's Michaela Clarke in this morning for Greg Hughes. In relation to ATU accommodation, one listener says, Morning Highland Radio, I can remember a few years ago a local contractor applied to Donegal County Council for planning permission to build a campus for students on the land opposite the ATU, but that was turned down. There are apartments that would be ideal for students beside the Cancer Charity Shop, but because our government are providing free accommodation for other citizens or citizens are suffering. Thank you. Joseph Sweeney was highlighting how serious an issue the lack of accommodation here in Letterkenny is for students of the ATU, and we did cover it on our news bulletins at the time in relation to the Oireachtas Committee. So you can listen back to that debate on our website highlandradio.com, where a representative of the ATU did highlight the accommodation issue and spoke as well about the different plans that they had and the different areas that they had identified where accommodation could be delivered. It has come to light the man accused of sexually assaulting a 10-year-old in Dublin had a deportation order. The deportation orders should be implemented by Gardaí. Now a 10-year-old's life has been ruined, even though this man had a deportation order served last year. I'm not sure how long that process takes from whenever a deportation order is imposed. Is there follow-up? So I'm not too sure about that. In relation to broadband costs, I can't get my head around this government and what they get away with. On what planet is it okay to give a private firm $3 billion of state money to set up the broadband network and the state don't own one share? Then in the budget, they gave another €433 million, €3.5 billion to a private company. Great people are getting fast broadband, but my God, not even one not even own one share. Really is beyond my comprehension how no one is even remotely concerned. Just to highlight that Coffee Morning is taking place on Saturday the 25th of October. That's this Saturday between 12 and 2 p.m. at St Patrick's Parish Centre in Donegal Town. The invite is to join us in celebrating a remarkable milestone, Mary Meehan's 105th birthday. Let's honour Mary's life with joy, cake and community spirit while raising funds for Mayor Anna Gallagher's causes, the Donegal Hospice and Donegal Community Hospital. So that is this Saturday between 12 and 2 p.m. at St Patrick's Parish Centre in Donegal Town. In relation to Garda vetting, we discussed this yesterday. A listener was in touch asking why people have to be vetted so many times. Can one Garda vetting not be done annually and it repeated each year thereafter? Another listener says plenty awful people are vet cleared before they are caught. Not saying vetting is unnecessary, but it doesn't mean the person is safe. It's a safety measure that is needed, but not foolproof. Listener has emailed in, I want to highlight an issue with home insurance. We took out our home insurance with a company in 2022 and the price was €445.89. I just got a renewal cost of €861 for this year, an increase of €415.11. So it has almost doubled in the last 4 years. Let me add, we have never claimed anything from our insurance, zero claims. When I questioned this renewal price from the help desk, the answer I got was, thank you for your email. We have seen an increase in premiums across the board this year. The policies are rating higher, mostly due to a rise in claims and inflation to rebuild costs. I have applied a discretionary discount to the policy, as sent this to you with the very best price of €774.91 or on direct debits with service charge €829.20. It's simply not acceptable, this listener says, how we can sit back and accept these additional charges year after year. Where is it going to stop? We are not being paid anything additional to cover these rising costs across the board. It's just crazy that, you know, as this listener had said, they had made zero claims to the insurance company, yet they're picking up the cost for other customers who are claiming as well. And then to be given a discount, €774, so just under €100. But then if they opt to pay it by direct debit with service charge, it's €829. Even that, I hate those direct debit charges. And you know, even if you're signing up if it's an app on your phone and you're signing up to the monthly payments, and it sets out how much you could save if you were to purchase it for the year, but maybe, you know, you only want to trial it maybe for a couple of months and you don't want to commit to the yearly fee because, you know, sometimes you just can't afford to pay that out there and then. But yeah, it sets it out that, you know, if you pay monthly, it's going to cost you more and it should just be the same price, I believe anyway, whether you opt to pay monthly or annually. Just to notice as well, due to midterm break and Halloween, Confidential Shredding will be on earlier this month on Friday the 24th of October at the Letterkenny Shopping Centre. It's in association with United Shredding Company and the Letterkenny Rotary Club, and all for just a donation to the Donegal Down Syndrome Association. You will see your confidential documents shredded in the USL machine. As usual, the USL unit will be situated on the right-hand side of the car park near the entrance to Letterkenny Shopping Centre from 10:30am until 12 midday. Members of the Rotary Club will be on standby to assist members of the public if needed. So that is this Friday. In relation to a story that I covered actually at the meeting of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District last Tuesday, I think it was, Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh had raised concerns over a housing estate, and he had said that residents in that estate were fighting for their safety because of the speed of some motorists. Christy Galligan has been in touch, says this is amazing. The residents of College Farm Road have been highlighting serious concerns with regards to traffic flows, congestion, public safety and planning applications for the past number of years. Yet not one council representative has bothered to meet with residents with regards to their complaints. We have met with 2 councillors. Why are we being discriminated against while Ashlawn residents will get the courtesy of a meeting with council reps? That was obviously proposed by Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh. He had raised the serious concern there, and the council representative said that they had already met with a representative of the Residents Association. But obviously, Christy has raised this concern in relation to the College Farm Road, and he's a member of the Residents Association, I understand there. But he is feeling, why is one estate getting the attention of the council, and they're dealing with a similar issue. In relation to food wastage, we discussed this yesterday. These days, food in the shop is held for 7 days. Years ago, we had a 30-day life cycle in the shops, and it was mainly canned foods and frozen. These days, we all have fresh food, but there's far more food waste. We need to focus on being able to freeze all our food. What would we all do if there were issues with the supply chain? That is very true. I don't remember, maybe I just didn't pay attention to it. Yesterday I was saying about how I don't really buy raspberries anymore because they go out of date too quickly. But I remember whenever I was younger, I don't, recall that food would have went out of date or went off as quickly as it does appear to these days. But the spokesperson we had on from the EPA yesterday was just highlighting how to make conscious decisions to ensure that we don't have too much food waste. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 21st of October. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €400. The reference number is S12. It's game number 43. The numbers are 18, 84, 14, 63, 62, 39, 16, 66, 54, and finally 61. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Become a qualified scaffolder. SafeTech are running a 7-day basic scaffolding course in Donegal starting October 28th. Also running advanced scaffolding in Donegal starting on the 9th of December. Funding available on both programmes. Terms and conditions apply. Contact SafeTech today for your training requirements on 07491 27786 or visit safetech.ie.
If you're fitting a new kitchen or replacing some tired appliances, now's the time with the Ben Sweeney Euronics Kitchen Bundle. Get a single oven and hob, integrated dishwasher and fridge freezer, wash machine and tumble dryer, all for just €2,000. Other kitchen bundles are available on request. Call us today or visit Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road Letterkenny, in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Join EirGrid, the operator and developer of the electricity grid, on Thursday, November the 6th at the Central Hotel in Donegal Town from 6:15 to 8:30pm for the EirGrid Energy Citizens Roadshow. This free event will provide information about home energy efficiency upgrades, retrofitting grants, community microgeneration schemes, and the future of energy in Donegal. To register for the roadshow, visit airgrid.ie/roadshows. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland.
It's here, the new Opel Frontera. Join Manor Motors for the Frontera Test Drive event and discover the wow, the new family fun SUV from Opel. With big comfort, huge space and room for 7. Choose hybrid or electric and make every drive a new adventure. Get behind the wheel at Manor Motors, your Opel dealer. Now with 5 years unlimited warranty. The new Opel Frontera. Fun has found its family.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91 26025.
It's that time of week again, and I'm joined now in studio by Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station. Good morning, Grania.
Good morning, Michaela.
So we're going to start first with a theft incident in Ards.
Yes, Garda are appealing for information in connection with this theft incident. It happened at Ards Friary in Creasla on Friday the 17th of October between 12:30pm and 1pm. So a man was there at the shoreline. He was taking a few photos. He left his camera sitting on the tripod and he went for a short walk only to discover it had been stolen upon his return. The items stolen were a Fuji X-T4 camera, 2 SD media cards, a Manfrotto 700 RC2 tripod and camera lens. So we're appealing to anybody who may have been in or around the grounds off the Friary itself with a dash cam on that date, on the 17th of October, between 12pm and 1:30pm to make that footage available to Gardaí. If anybody can assist with relevant information, they're asked to contact Ballyshannon Gardaí on 071 985 8530. And as always, in incidents such as these, we appeal to anybody, should they come across similar type items for sale on a second-hand basis, alert Gardaí so we can check the items out.
Yeah, obviously a costly loss to the owner there. In the St Johnson area, there has been a number of criminal damage incidents.
Yes, so we're investigating a number of criminal damage incidents. These occurred in the area of Church Street, St Johnson, between 6pm on Friday the 17th of October and 8:50am on Saturday the 18th of October. So a shop sign and a front door of a house at that location were spray painted, and offensive slogans were spray painted onto the road in that area also. We're appealing to anybody who may have relevant information to get in touch with Gardaí in Letterkenny on 91 67100 or the Garda Confidential line's an option. This goes with all of our appeals today. The number for the Garda Confidential line is 1800 666 111.
And we spoke to a resident on the show yesterday about that, and it was deeply unsettling for those living in the area, supposed to wake up to that. So, yeah, any information in relation to that. And over the weekend, staying in St Johnstone again.
Yes, this is actually the same date again. Yeah, another criminal damage incident occurred in the area of Dundee, St Johnstone. So between 9pm on Friday the 17th of October and 7am the following morning, Saturday the 18th, 2 unlocked buses were entered and a number of seats in these buses were ripped between those times. So if anybody observed any type of suspicious activity or vehicles in that area between those times, we ask them to please contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 91 67100. And if anybody was in the St Johnstone area overnight between the Friday night and the Saturday morning with a dash cam, you know, if they do think that they observed anything untoward and they had a dash cam, that footage would be invaluable to us also if they would bring the camera into us.
Yeah. And moving now to the Clonmany area, a number of criminal damage incidents there as well.
Yes, so this isn't unusual at this time of year. Unfortunately, as we approach Halloween, these types of antisocial incidents are on the rise again. So Gardaí are appealing for the assistance of the public in connection with a couple of criminal damage incidents. They occurred in the general Clonmany area. One of them occurred in the Riverside Park area and the other in Dunaff on Friday the 17th of October. One of these incidents occurred shortly before 9:10pm on that date, and the other occurred in around 9:15pm. So it's reported that youths were throwing eggs at properties and vehicles parked at properties, and they were also spray painting walls of houses. So we're appealing to anybody who may have travelled in either of those two areas or within the general Clonmany area on Friday, October 17th, between 8:30pm and 9:30pm with a dash cam. Please make that footage available to us. We're particularly interested in hearing about any sightings of a silver Peugeot with UK registration plates that's believed to have been in these areas around that time. So if anybody can assist with relevant information, we're asking them to contact Buncrana Gardaí on 9320540. And these are very unsettling types of incidents, particularly for people who are elderly or more vulnerable and living alone. And of course, it might seem like a bit of fun to the young people, and we would urge parents, please, we're not putting the blame on the parents, of course, but you can't put an old head on young shoulders, but we do ask parents every year at this time of year, please speak to your young people, speak to them about the consequences, should they be apprehended being involved in this type of behaviour, but also just about common decency, about having respect for people, and not torturing them in their own homes. It's a bit of fun to them, but that could cause a lifetime of anxiety for somebody who's living on their own.
Absolutely.
It might seem like something minor to these young people. It could be something major and have a major effect on the person that lives in this house that they're targeting.
And you know yourself, if you get a knock to the door and you're not expecting it, even that, unsettles you or frightens you, and maybe somebody's ran off. But people will fear that they're being targeted, and they're not. It's, they're not being targeted for any reason, but it is that fear then.
Of course. I do think it is pretty random. At Halloween every year, numbers of houses are targeted with eggs. They knock on doors, they run off. And as you say, for the person who might live alone in a house, to them, they will feel targeted. They'll feel, why me? Why did they pick me? They'll live in fear that it'll happen again another night, or something worse will happen, that it could escalate. So we do ask parents, please speak to your young people at this time of year, and speak to them about the consequences, especially of getting caught involved in this type of behaviour.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there have been reports as well in relation to bogus collars in Inishowen and Letterkenny.
Yes, so this was during the past week. We've had numerous calls. So Inishowen, I think Moville, Greencastle area, the Letterkenny area, Fawn. So these bogus collars have been encountered in various areas of Donegal over the past week. They were reported this week as they were travelling in vans, and these vans will have various types of work slogans on the vans. The vans will look authentic. They will have business names and slogans and logos on the sides of their vans, and also camper vans. They were pulling up at properties in camper vans this week. They could show up in any part of Donegal. Just because they showed up this week in Inishowen doesn't mean next week they won't be in Killybegs or Donegal town. So just be aware of that, and they could be in any type of vehicle. These collars offer services such as power washing, painting, tarmacking, etc. They could be offering goods for sale such as tools, generators, and this week it was actually generators. And I suppose in light of the recent storm,
thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So they prefer to target the more vulnerable and people who live alone. So we're advising people, please do not engage with these types of collars. Don't open your door to anybody before you're confident that you know them, that they're known to you, or that they have a genuine reason to be there. Use a chain lock for added security. These collars can be quite intimidating. They can refuse to take no for an answer. Contact Gardaí immediately should you encounter such a collar. Try to give us as much information as you can. Peek out a window. Try to get a description of the person, the registration plate. Did they turn left, right when they turned out your gate? This information is of great use to us.
And that's important that it's delivered to you straight away, because they could flee the county.
Yeah, because sometimes we do get calls from people the following day because they heard it happened to a neighbour. Please ring us at the time. Give us as much detail as you can so that a car can be dispatched. We do have bogus collar cards also. I haven't got that in there, but it just sprung to my mind. The bogus collar cards, there's perforated cards. You get an A4 sheet of bogus collar cards. So somebody, an elderly person, someone living alone, anybody really, you can leave these inside your front door with a pen. If somebody comes to your door, they say they're working for, I'll not name any companies, but I'm working for X company, we're here to check your meter, we're here to do whatever type of work. You can tear off one of these cards, pass it out through the letterbox and say, leave your details in that card and pass it back through to me, and I'll have a think about it and I'll get back to you.
That's a great
if
idea,
I want your services. So we do have those cards. If anybody wants one, they can call into any of the main Garda stations. We'll have those cards. Milford, Ballyshannon, Buncrana or Letterkenny.
That's a great idea.
We're asking people as well, just please pass any of the advice given today on to family members who might live alone, your neighbours, friends. If in doubt, keep them out. That's our main message today. And just on October 16th, Thursday, Gardaí received reports in relation to a man who was allegedly selling generators out of the back of his van in the Newton Cunningham area. And Gardaí went out to the scene. They spoke to this man, and upon a search of the van, they got a number of generators. They suspected that these generators may have been stolen, and they seized them. So that investigation is ongoing. So we wish to thank the members of the public who alerted us to this matter. And we ask the public, please continue to be vigilant when out and about, and always report suspicious people or vehicles to us immediately.
And that's clear evidence there of how important that is.
Exactly, that's it put into action, and as a result, there was a great result out of that, and we do thank, and there was numerous calls in relation to that, but that's why we ask people, call us when it's happening. Don't tell us 2 hours later or the following day. It's important to let us know at the minute that it's happening.
Yeah. And now a new piece of legislation has come into force in relation to number plates.
Yes, so just look, this is something that I want motorist drivers to be aware of. This came into force very recently. So Gardaí can now issue fixed charge penalty notices, and it's a fine of €60. There's no penalty points attached, just the fine of €60. I say just €60 is a good whack of money out of anybody's pocket.
And this is for both front and rear number plate, is it?
I'll just go through it here now with you. Yeah, so it's in respect of certain vehicle registration plate offences. These offences are now live. The fine can be issued from the mobility device that the guards all have. So the offences are as follows. So for no front or back identification mark, if you're missing the number plate on the front or back, you can get this fine. Front back identification mark not distinguishable. Front back identification mark not conforming, or use of an unregistered vehicle. Generally, the registration plate must consist of black numbers and letters on a white reflective background. The name of the county of registration in Irish has to be at the top of the plate. The flag of the European Community. This must comprise of 12 gold stars in a circle with the letters IRL in white on a blue reflective black background. The flag must appear on the left-hand side of the plate. No other numbers, letters or marks can appear on the plate. If anybody wants to look this up and wants to find out more about registration plates and the correct format that a registration plate should take, they can visit www.revenue.ie just to make sure that you are, that your number plate's right. And
compliant with this new legislation. An important Business Watch seminar is taking place tomorrow. I'm way ahead of myself.
No, it's taking place tomorrow night, and everybody's very welcome to join us. This is on Wednesday the 22nd, tomorrow at 6 p.m. in Dillon's Hotel. It's going to be hosted by Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce in partnership with ourselves and Garda Síochána here in Donegal. So if you attend this seminar, you will hear directly from Sergeant Fergus McRory, the Crime Prevention Officer. He'll speak about how businesses can protect themselves in the lead up to the busy festive season. He'll give practical advice on safety, security and crime prevention. It's a valuable, not to be missed evening for local business owners and for managers who want to stay informed and up to date and connected. So you can register. Details on how to register to attend can be viewed on our Facebook page or on the Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. There's a number there that you WhatsApp or text if you wish to attend that.
And it could be a small thing that, businesses might feel that they're fully across their security, but it could be just a small thing that they could pick up. It could make a huge difference, as you said, especially now in the run up to Christmas. And another very important initiative is in relation to safe boxes being made available for elderly people.
Yes, so actually I was speaking to a representative from Alone at the Farmers, the wellness event there recently in the Clanry Hotel, and they have a number of these key safe boxes, these boxes that you affix to the wall outside your property, with the PIN number that you insert the code. You put your key, your house into that box, and you can give trusted people, family members, the code to the box to gain access to your home. So the fear is really, I suppose, we had a bit of a discussion about this. He feels, and I felt, we agreed on this, a lot of elderly people are leaving their door ajar, they're leaving the door open because maybe they have a home help due in at 11, They might have another one due in at 4, or a carer or whoever, so they're leaving their door ajar. Maybe they're not able to get out of the bed to keep opening and closing the door. Maybe it's just to save multiple trips to the door, so they're leaving the door ajar. That's not the safest thing, especially coming into the darker evenings now, and we want to keep everybody safe. So we had this discussion about these key safe boxes, and I asked would I alert people to this. They have a number of these that can be given out free of charge to anybody that wishes to get one. They can affix it to the front of the house, put the key into it. The carers can then let themselves in and out. It's safe. They can leave the door locked behind them. And just for crime prevention basis, really, it's safer for everybody. And these are free of charge, readily available. We have a contact number here for Alone. If anybody wants to contact Alone, even on behalf of a family member, they can do that and get one of these boxes for them. So Alone can be contacted via their Facebook page. You can send them a message on there. You can email them at hello@alone.ie or by phone on 0818 222 024 if you wish to get one of these key boxes for yourself or for a family member or a friend.
Yeah, and I suppose keeping people safe and providing that peace of mind to these elderly people as well. As you said, they might have to leave the door open, but if they have one of these key safe boxes, they have that peace of mind.
Yeah, because they might be anxious themselves about leaving the door ajar, so it'll give them peace of mind and added bit of security for them.
Yeah. And another bank holiday coming up now this weekend, Grania, and I suppose we're urging everybody to take care on the roads.
Yes, it's our usual road safety appeal for the bank holiday weekend that's coming fast. So Gardaí will be out this weekend. They'll conduct high visibility patrols and checkpoints right across the Donegal division. And we're appealing to everybody, as always, please drive safely. Don't drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Slow down, wear your seatbelt. Don't use or hold a mobile phone while you're driving. The results of drink and drug driving and or speed can be devastating. Just leave your phone well out of reach. Put your phone on silent or put it into the glove compartment if you're undertaking a journey. Keep temptation out of reach, really, is the message. Don't ever take unnecessary risks on the roads. The clocks are going to go back on Sunday, October 26th. We're urging all pedestrians and cyclists to please wear your high-vis vest. I actually met a lady on the road this morning and it was dark. It's strange now coming into work in the morning, it's so dark.
Yeah.
But I was dropping the young ones to school too on the way in, and I was commenting to them how easy it was to see the lady. had she not had that high-vis on, it was a windy, dark road.
Yeah.
It made all the difference. So we're asking people, please wear a high-vis. It's an easy thing to do. It'll take you 2 seconds to put on. It could save your life.
And because you do get a fright yourself whenever you see someone, you know, because you think I could have easily hit them if they're not wearing the high-vis.
Most definitely, and that's very possible, So ensure that you're highly visible to drivers at all times. And we have a number of high-vis vests available in Letterkenny. Anybody at all is free to call in. They're free of charge. Come and collect one. And Halloween's fast approaching. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you need our assistance in the run-up to Halloween. There is a rise in antisocial incidents over the past few weeks. Egg throwing, fireworks reports, things like that. Please do call us if there's antisocial behaviour occurring in your area, or contact us for any reason. We can be contacted on a 24/7 basis in Letterkenny on 9167 Buncrana on 9320540, Milford on 9153060, or Ballyshannon 071 985 8530. And as always, call 999 or 112 in the event of an emergency. And I think that's an important one too, just for parents. When you are speaking to your young people, just alert them to the fact too, there's always a rise in calls to the 999 service in the lead up to Halloween and round that, round those few weeks leading up to Halloween. And really and truly, you're taking an emergency service. If you're out lighting a bin on fire, or you're doing something that requires the fire brigade to call out, or an ambulance service, you're taking that vital service away from somebody who could be struggling to breathe. They could be trapped in a car in a collision. You're taking that emergency service away from them. It's something to make young people aware of too, that they may not think of. Just make them aware of that.
Yeah, they think it's a bit of fun, but they
do. They mightn't just realise the greater consequences of their actions yet. So we're just wishing everybody, have a lovely bank holiday weekend and stay safe, whether you're on the roads or off the roads.
Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station, thank you so much for calling in.
No problem.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91 26025. Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Get ready for Pumpkin Day at the ESA Centre, located on the Donegal Derry border, air code F93F104. This free event is open to everyone. Choose from a great selection of Halloween pumpkins. Enjoy face painting, tasty treats, hot food and tray bakes. Get spooky in our photo booth and don't miss the fancy dress fun. Be there if you dare.
That's this Saturday, the 25th of October, at the ESA Centre, air code F93F104.
Stock up this week at Dunn Stores with Diet Coke and Coke Zero 18-pack range, just €10 each. Cadbury Dairy Milk Buttons, Kit Kat 2 Finger Bars 8-pack and Tato Rancheros 100 gram, now half price. And introducing our 12 deals of Christmas with selected Sour Patch Kids multi-pack, Mars and Maltesers fun size multi-pack, all half price. And keep an eye out for next week's deal of the week. Plus, save more with your 10 off 50 voucher. Dunn Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop. Deposit return scheme fees apply.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
If you have a cough, flu, sore throat, or if you're just feeling miserable, don't suffer through it. At McGee's Chemist, we have the expertise to help you feel better. Our pharmacists and experienced staff will recommend the most effective over-the-counter solutions and give advice on how best to manage your symptoms. At McGee's, we have a wide range of trusted brands and products to help you recover. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Change is the only constant in business. So whether you're starting or growing your business, our dedicated business teams will always be here to support you every step of the way. Because the best businesses never stop beginning. Search Bank of Ireland Business. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Discover the hidden gem of Letterkenny, La Papa Kitchen and Coffee House. Indulge with friends in delicious Buddha bowls, pastas, light bites and organic coffee. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Remember the name, La Papa. Located next to KO Fitness and McGinley's Furniture on Joe Boner Road. Open 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 to 2 on Sunday.
Now, welcome back to the 9 till noon show. In relation to home insurance, we had a listener in touch with us regarding their home insurance, which almost doubled or more than doubled when they received their renewal this year. Another listener says, interesting you talk about the cost of home insurance. I just got mine yesterday and it was up €180, but when I called them, they couldn't give me a reasonable explanation. Another says, my house insurance renewal came in yesterday, an increase of 200, no claims last year. Yeah, it's just whenever you take into consideration, if you have a mortgage, you have your home insurance, you have your life insurance, there's so much to pay out. And particularly if you're maybe in your first few years of your mortgage, that's a huge cost taken in all that. And then for it to increase, you budget for your mortgage, your life insurance and your home insurance when opting to buy a house, and then whenever it keeps increasing. Another listener says, good morning, Michaela. When you buy bananas in the supermarkets these days, you nearly need to eat them at the till because they're black by the time you get home. Yeah, that's what I was. I love fresh berries and fruit, but just, it is a huge waste whenever they go out, and you're not going to eat a full punnet of berries within one day. So yeah, I opt for the blueberries now because they tend to stay fresher for a bit longer. Now, there is a call for sunbed, a ban on sunbed use to not be implemented. I'm joined now by Gary Lipman, who is the chair of the Sunbed Association. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Michaela. Thank you for inviting me onto the show.
No problem. So I suppose I didn't anticipate we'd be talking about a ban to be stopped. Why has the Sunbed Association issued this call?
Well, we argue that the proposal is actually regressive, it's disproportionate, and it's unsupported by the full spectrum of modern emerging scientific evidence. I represent the Sunbed Association. We were established in 1995, and our members are tanning salons that have signed up and operate to our code of practice. And that code of practice ensures that consumers are looked after when they come into a salon. They're properly, their skin is looked at. We check their age, and I want to reassure your listeners that if they want a tan in a controlled professional environment, to go on our website, just Google Sunbed Association. We have members all over Ireland, Dublin, Cork, Carlow, and we say that it's very important that the Irish government recognise that the regulations in Ireland are actually quite strict, but they're not being enforced by the Irish government. Mm-hmm. We have encouraged the government, particularly the HSE, to work with us and help implement the regulations that exist in across the EU, just not in Ireland.
Mm. Because I suppose this stems from, I know in Australia some beds are banned, but they are accessible on the black market. It is kind of a process. You have to ring one person, they pass on your contact number to another, and then you can get access to the sunbed. But I suppose this is what you're trying to avoid here in Ireland.
Well, yes. We have empirical evidence, particularly from Australia, that where commercial tanning salons have been banned, people are just using sunbeds at home, not necessarily even for their own family. They're inviting their friends and neighbours to come and use them for a fee, where, of course, there's no regulation. So we feel very strongly that working with us, we have lobbied HSE and the Irish government to work with us, particularly, for example, the output of a sunbed is strictly controlled. It's controlled across the EU, across Europe, but not in Ireland. And we're asking the government work with us. We are the solution, not the problem. Our members are small businesses who care about their customers. They look after their customers. And more people burn on the beach than they would on any sunbed. I'm sure you've been on holiday and you've seen for yourself people who go by the pool straight after breakfast and they stay in the sun all day. That must be avoided. Tanning is perfectly okay. It is burning that causes the health concerns, and we make sure that our customers have the correct session time for the skin that they have, and we make sure they don't burn. We look after them. compare that with somebody on the beach on holiday for 2 weeks.
And Gary, you mentioned there that you have been in contact with the HSE with regard to the matter. What kind of evidence did you present to them?
We have presented to them more recently a 54-page rebuttal to the arguments they've put forward. Very sadly, they're using evidence from 25 years ago, before regulations were even implemented or brought in. So they are looking at where the industry was 25, 30 years ago, not the professional business that we have today. Most tanning salons, for example, will have a computer system that keeps a record of the use of the sunbed. So somebody comes in, their session will be recorded, and we make sure that they don't overdo it. So what we're saying to the government is, stop looking at what happened 25 years ago. Look at what is happening today, the reality of what's happening today. Work with us. We're a professional trade organization around since 1995. We have the provenance. We have the code of practice. Our members work to it. We actually mystery shop our members to make sure that everything's in order. So work with us. We say to anybody that talks about a ban, please implement existing regulations and work with us.
And do you see any room for regulations? You know, you had mentioned the mystery shopping and the regulations that are in existence. Do you see any scope that they could be enhanced to further protect people?
Well, absolutely. But it has to be a situation where we work in harmony with the regulators. Clearly, when industry is working with the regulators and vice versa, these things can be implemented very, very quickly. But it's a situation where we are saying to the government, work with us, help implement the regulations, and we can work on this together. It's almost like car manufacturers from Germany coming across to the Irish government saying, please enforce the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit on motorways. That's what we're doing. We're not fighting the regulations. We welcome the regulations. So work with us and help us implement them.
And when has there been a proposed date for this ban, or it's just a proposal at the moment?
Oh, no. It's just an inquiry at the moment. There is no date set.
So there's still time to work.
Anybody that speculates that there is yes, correct, yes. But we are working very, very hard to get audiences with the correct people in the government who really are being badly advised. Of course, politicians are not scientists or doctors, so they are being advised by. They're just being badly advised, and we have to balance what they're being told, because right now they're just only listening to one side, and that is wrong. We have the arguments, we have the scientific evidence. Even more recently, for example, there's been some emerging scientific data that shows that actually when we are in sunshine, actually we feel more healthy. Even a couple of weeks ago, The Economist wrote a very interesting article saying that dermatologists and doctors, more enlightened dermatologists and doctors, are now beginning to see that some abstinence is actually more harmful. So it's all about balance. It's all about having a controlled amount, a controlled session in the sun, be it in the sunshine or on a sunbed, and it's about not burning. What we're advocating is common sense, sunburn protection, and it's as simple as that.
And I suppose as well, it is quite a popular business.
Oh, yes. We have found that people do enjoy using a sunbed, especially where they are looked after in a member of a tanning salon. And as I say, I encourage your listeners to go on to Google, just Google Sunbed Association. You'll find a salon locator, and you'll find a salon near you where you know that the staff have been trained, the equipment is well maintained, we make sure that there's eye protection, we give the correct advice, and we keep a record of the sessions. So it's really important that you look for the Sunbed Association logo on the front door and make sure that is the salon that you're using. We have, as I say, we have members all over Ireland and many in Donegal. So please look for that and make sure that the sunbeds they use are at a member salon.
And I know, Gary, you had mentioned, people renting sunbeds and inviting people then over to their house. Do you have information that there is already a number of businesses operating, not in line with the regulations? Is there a large volume of that across the country?
No. I have to say that remember, these are privately owned businesses where they are serving people in their local community. Nobody wants to cause harm to anybody. The people want to look after their customers. I am representing our members who have joined us, signed up to our code of practice, and adhere to that code of practice. But I'm not saying that there's people out there that don't. I'm saying that we want all tanning salons to be members of our association.
Gary Lippman, Chair of the Sunbed Association, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I actually didn't know that such regulations did exist. I suppose it's such a important issue that it should exist. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Everyone wants to start the new year on the right foot. At iMotors, we start with our foot on the accelerator. Welcome to 261 at iMotors. Available in the Kia lineup, we have the Kia Picanto, the new Stonic, the new K4 hatchback, Kia Niro, the Donegal best-selling car Kia Sportage, and the Kia Sorento, available in hybrid and diesel. 0% finance available, 3 years free servicing and a €500 super value gift card. And be entered into our exclusive iMotors €10,000 giveaway. Final day is the 23rd of December. Someone will win. Terms and conditions apply. iMotors, the fearless generation.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Get the job done with the right equipment delivered direct from Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Free delivery on all equipment has been extended to the Finn Valley area, including Ballybuffet, Stranorlar, Castlefin and Killygordon. With great daily and weekend deals available, call Watson Hire. Listen in Letterkenny on 9167777. See Facebook or visit watsonhire.ie.
The Chadwick's autumn sale is now on across all branches nationwide. Myra SE Elite 9.8 kilowatt shower, only €275. 8 kilowatt Waterford Stanley freestanding stove, great value at €699. DeWalt brushless drill twin pack with 2 batteries, now an incredible €499. Visit your local branch or shop online for more savings at chadwicks.ie. Chadwick's.
Let's get it done! At McGilligan's Hotel, we specialise in crafting unforgettable events for every occasion. Whether you're planning a milestone birthday, engagement, christening, anniversary party or family gathering, our elegant space, exceptional service and central location makes us the perfect choice for celebrations in Letterkenny. From intimate affairs to lively parties. At McGilligan's Hotel, we offer packages to suit all budgets. For more information, call the events team at McGilligan's Hotel on 07491 22066.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Today's weather mostly cloudy with showery outbreaks of rain and drizzle this morning. Scattered showers and sunny spells will develop through the day. Highest temperatures of 10 to 11 degrees in moderate to fresh west to northwest winds. I'm joined now by Councillor Dakota Nick Vanman, who has campaigned extensively for greater health care for women with endometriosis. Good morning to you, Dakota.
Good morning, Michaela. How are you?
Good. So I recently saw a video of yourself. You have travelled to Romania for an MRI. Is this something that you felt you couldn't receive here, that you were forced to travel?
Yeah, pretty much. So there is the option of going private here in Ireland to get an MRI, but the way they do the MRI in Ireland isn't the same as the way it is being done abroad. So abroad they're using a gel which helps to relax everything and helps to identify it better, and that's not being offered here. Now I think you might be able to get a different type of contrast in the likes of Dublin, but the waiting lists for them clinics are very long, so you'd be waiting a long time.
And in terms of your decision to travel to Romania, from the date you decided that until you got your appointment, how long was that?
Um, so I kind of thought about it for a while, and then I had appointments coming up in Letterkenny, so I kind of put it off to see what was Letterkenny going to tell me. And basically, from Letterkenny's point of view, they weren't really willing to do anything other than give me hormonal treatment. They weren't happy to do a laparoscopy or anything, so that kind of defined my decision. And then once I contacted Bucharest, I was waiting about 2 months then before I got the date. So.
And is this something that generally isn't offered here in Letterkenny?
Yeah, so with the gel, you're not offered that in Letterkenny.
So then you made the trip to Romania. How did that process? How was that process?
I found it very good. So I went by myself. I done it very quickly. I done it over 3 days. So I travelled on Wednesday, and I got there late Wednesday night. It was about 11:30, and then the next day I had the MRI, and then I travelled back on the Friday. Then, I found it absolutely grand. There was no issues at all. I thought language and stuff might be a barrier, but in terms of the healthcare, they all had perfect English, and then any shops you went to, they all had a good understanding of English as well, and I found it absolutely grand doing it by myself.
And is this somewhere that you had seen was recommended for women with endometriosis before?
Yeah, it is. So I've been talking to people locally who have went themselves and gotten the MRI done, and then so this place in Bucharest, so it's the Bucharest Centre for Endometriosis. It's run by Dr. Mitrai. He is a renowned surgeon for endometriosis. He's very highly skilled in it. So a lot of Irish women have been to him, like even when I was over there. So I got the MRI, and then I got the consultation with Dr. Mitrai. I had met 3 or 4 different Irish women that were there getting the same thing.
And that's crazy within such a short space of time. That I spoke previously on the show to Jade Quigley, who I know as part of campaigning efforts as well in relation to endometriosis. And you know, there's such widespread awareness of this now, but to think that so many women are being forced to travel, like yourself and Jade that I've spoke to.
Yeah, exactly. It was Jade. So she has been to Bucharest for the MRI, the same as what I had done. So she had given me a lot of help with regards to that. So yeah, it's paving the way for other women to go and get this done, because the healthcare here is just shocking.
And if you needed surgery or further care, is that something you would get done over there as well?
Yeah, so for me, it's a bit more complicated, I suppose, with having a child. So being so young, that if I was to need surgery, um, I don't feel confident getting it done in Ireland, but I also would find it very difficult to go abroad, because obviously you have to have that time where you are in recovery and you need to stay in that country. And for me to do that with a young child, it's not really ideal. But at the minute, I was told by Dr. Mitrai that surgery isn't what I need right now.
Okay.
He's given me other treatment options, but for the minute, it's not surgery. But I wouldn't trust any surgeon in Ireland to carry out the surgery if I did need it. So.
And is that because there seems to be such a lack of awareness and efforts to treat women here in Ireland?
Yeah, definitely. So what we're seeing in Ireland is it's just general gynecologists that are doing endometriosis surgery. They're not actually specialised in that area. So they cover a wide range of things, gynecologists, you know, from pregnancy to different issues, and they're not specialised in it. And I think that's why a lot of women, so to get the diagnosis, like the MRI can give you an indication of where the endometriosis is and what where you're kind of at with it. But to see it properly, you do need the laparoscopy. And a lot of women in Ireland that get the laparoscopy come out being told that there is no endometriosis, but when they go to specialist centres like Bucharest or Greece, they are getting endometriosis. It is found then because they're going to the specialists.
Yeah, and would you be confident that there would be any great steps here in Ireland to ensure that women can receive the healthcare they need here in their own country?
Yeah, so there just last week, the Minister for Health, she announced she had a symposium and she announced a bit about endometriosis, the future of it, and she announced a new scheme. It's like at the minute we have the cross-border scheme where you're allowed to go to the EU. So she has announced this new kind of scheme where it's for endometriosis only, and the UK is included, which is great. But there is a few flaws with that. So, you need a gynecologist to give you the referral, and anybody that's trying to get in with gynecologists, there is a good bit of a waiting time. So you are left kind of in limbo. And the other problem with the scheme is it's limited to where you can go. So it has centres on it and you have to go to them. Now, the biggest kickback is where I went in Romania isn't on that list. And a place in Greece where a lot of women go as well isn't on that list. And it's hard to understand why they're not on that list. But it is a good step. But I think there's a lot more needs to be done. There's a lot framework that has come forward on policy. Now, policy is great on paper, but it needs the budgetary backing behind it. And obviously, we've seen budget there 2026 announced, and there was nothing for endometriosis in it. So in terms of actually getting things improved in Ireland, I think we'll be waiting a little while longer.
And it's such a debilitating and painful condition that, women can't wait for this.
No, they can't. That is the major thing, because as we know, it's progressive, and there's women out there that did unfortunately have to wait, and when it got to that stage where they were actually seen, it got so bad, that they really had to take measures that they shouldn't have had to take, because they could have prevented it getting that bad.
And you mind me asking, Dakota, how much it cost you to do this journey?
Yeah, so the MRA was about €430. That's what it kind of came around to. Now that can change a wee bit with the currency, but it came around to that. And then obviously I had accommodation and flights. I can't remember now what the flights cost, but they weren't that dear. And the accommodation for the 2 nights was about €80 for Airbnb. So it was, in my opinion, it was definitely money well spent, because here realistically to get an MRI I would have had to go private anyways, and when they don't do the gel, it would just made more sense to go abroad and get that done.
But it's still a cost that, you shouldn't have to pay, and you heading over there yourself on your own, and you don't know what the outcome is going to be, and I'm sure it's emotional as well, going through it, that it's just, it's not really acceptable in this day and age.
No, it's definitely not. And like, obviously you're in a foreign country, you're going to be panicking and worrying, and you're going to miss the bus, you're going to do this and that, but it was grand, and it's good to get it over and done with, and to get actually real answers. So it's actually given me a pathway of where I go now in the future. Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the best with that. Thank you so much for sharing that part of your journey with us this morning. Thank you. So that is Councillor Dakota Nick Van Man, and the news headlines are coming up now. Donna Marie Doherty has the latest.
Thanks, Michaela. Good morning. A man has had his camera stolen at Ard's Friary. On Friday afternoon, a man was taking photographs on the shore, left his camera on a tripod while he went for a short walk between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. When he returned, he discovered all of his equipment had been stolen. This included a Fuji X T4 camera, 2 SD cards and a tripod, as well as a camera lens. Gardaí are appealing for information. Meanwhile, Gardaí are investigating 2 cases of criminal damage in St Johnstone over the weekend. It's not yet known if the incidents are linked. Offensive graffiti was sprayed on Church Street, including racial slurs and religious slurs on the road, and damage was caused as well to a shop sign and a house door. In a separate case, 2 unlocked buses in the Dundee area were entered and several seats were ripped. Gardaí are appealing to anyone who saw suspicious activities or vehicles in either area to come forward. Elected members of Lifford and Stranorlar Municipal District have passed their 2026 draft budgetary plan with a fund of €150,000 agreed. It will see an allocation of €25,000 to each member to be allocated at their discretion. Director of Finance Richard Gibson outlined at the beginning of his presentation that the statutory requirement to agree a draft MD budget ahead of setting out the county-wide budget doesn't make any sense. A 26-year-old man has appeared in court charged with the sexual assault of a young girl in Dublin. He was brought before Blanchardstown District Court this morning. It relates to the alleged assault of a girl on Garter Lane in Sargart in the early hours of yesterday morning. The US President says the ceasefire in Gaza is still in place. It's despite rising tensions in recent days when 2 Israeli soldiers were killed and around 45 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes. The US Vice President JD Vance is travelling to Israel today to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. And finally, hydrant repair works may cause supply disruptions to Doneloop, Castlefin and surrounding areas. There'll be a traffic management plan in place as the works are ongoing, and they're scheduled to take place until 1:15. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 12 noon.
All innovative, all inspiring, all yours. Discover the Audi 261 range with Audi All Access at your local dealership. Join us at our nationwide open house event from October 17th to 24th and experience exhilarating test drives, unmissable offers and exclusive product upgrades. Book a test drive with Audi All Access today. Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
Fearing the weekly shop? Your money now goes even further with our new Aldi price drops. Fill your bag with your faves, fresh wraps, pesto, maybe pancakes? You know, good food, the bits you need, and the treats you deserve. Then head to the till, check the bill, and breathe. Save even more with Aldi price drops.
With the phasing out of R32 refrigerant and heat pumps, discover next generation comfort with the new award-winning Grant Airona R290 heat pump, delivering exceptional performance with quiet operation. The Grant Airona R290, heating for the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
Hey, got some old household electrical appliances or batteries lying around? Recycle them for free with We Ireland in partnership with Donegal County Council at our special collection day on Saturday 25th of October in Falcara at Dennis McCallion's yard from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll accept anything household with a plug or battery. See weeireland.ie.
Whether it's on a bagel, in a cheesecake, or your very own secret recipe, if you love using Philadelphia cream cheese, we want to hear from you. Highland Radio has teamed up with Philadelphia Cream Cheese, the original, for your chance to become a Philadelphia local ambassador and win a €250 voucher. For your chance to win, listen into Around the Northwest this week from 12 p.m. and keep an eye on our socials. All with thanks to Philadelphia, the best friend in everyone's fridge. You've got a friend in Philly.
Fearing the weekly shop? Your money now goes even further with our new Aldi price drops. Fill your bag with your faves, fresh wraps, pesto, maybe pancakes? You know, good food, the bits you need, and the treats you deserve. Then head to the till, check the bill, and breathe. Save even more with Aldi price drops.
Now, having a look at some more of your comments, we were discussing the cost of home insurance. A listener says, my house insurance was €485 last year. It's now €860 this year. The insurance company asked me if I had a claim, and they told me that it depends on your air code. The more people that are in your area who have a claim, they put up the price for everyone. That answers the concern I had about picking up the cost of other people, but also obviously it depends on your air code, so you'd be a bit annoyed at your neighbours for that, wouldn't you? A listener has been in touch. Big shout out to the man who lifted the poor dead fox on the road just before St Joseph's Hospital in Stranorder. I was on the road early this morning. Terrible traffic, every second person on their phone on the dual carriageway, and it was not 18 or 23-year-olds. I was just saying this, commenting over the weekend as well. There is such an increase in people using their phone while driving and not even trying to hide the fact blatantly. You know, you see it up resting on the steering wheel, their hand resting on the steering wheel with the phone in their hand. It's just crazy. And, you know, so many vehicles now have Bluetooth in it, so it's not an emergency that they need to contact someone, or just as Grania was saying during the Garda information slot, just put it in the glove department, put it away, keep it in your bag in the back seat or the boot until you arrive at your destination. Another listener says the number plates are all about money, money, money. They are tax collectors for the government. They're actually a very important part as well of road safety. I was discussing this yesterday, and I had mentioned that, you know, it's an indication for Gardaí. They can scan the number plate, and they could get more information on the driver, and it could alert them to a number of maybe, you know, they could be convicted of, they could have been banned for, sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts straight, could have been banned from driving previously, and they're back on the road again, and that could potentially save someone's life. So I don't really agree that it's just to, you know, generate income for the government. I have a tip to keep your berries fresh for longer. Take your berries home and wash them, dry them with a paper towel and put them in an airtight container. Line it with kitchen paper, and strawberries will last up to 2 weeks. Make sure the paper towel isn't damp and keep changing it. I do take them home, wash them and put them in an airtight container, but I don't dry them beforehand, so maybe that's where I'm going wrong. And I also don't line the container with kitchen paper, so I will try that, and maybe I'll be able to expand beyond the blueberries. Good morning. Can you play a request congratulating all those people who are receiving an award in Dublin tonight from Water Safety Ireland? That comes in from the Robinsons in Kilmacrennan. Yeah, there's quite a number of Donegal people receiving awards for the efforts they have made in rescuing people or different water related incidents. Another listener says, please say a big hello and congratulations to all the students and staff of Errigal College that took part in the Monday night sessions on Highland Radio last night. The principal, Donny McFadden, looked so proud and spoke highly of the students. Jimmy and Paul encouraged the students to showcase their talents on their local radio station. What a fantastic opportunity for all involved and all the people working behind the scenes. A special hello to Davin and Killian that lifted the roof with the bagpipes. Wishing you all the best in your future careers. Yeah, I did see some of those videos on our social media channels, and the talent, every person that contributed to it was so talented. It was amazing to see. Yeah, so you can check out those videos on our Facebook page, and you can see all the talent from the school there. I'm joined now by Aileen Ryan, Professor in Tumour Immunology. So a team of researchers at University of Galway's College of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences has carried out a world-first study into how bowel cancer can impact the immune system. So Aileen, what has been discovered in this study?
Yeah, so good morning and thanks for having me on. So bowel cancer diagnosis is on the increase. Recent data shows a doubling of bowel cancer diagnosis in younger patients actually over the last 25 years. And as your listeners will probably be aware, one of the biggest developments in cancer treatment in the past decade has been the use of immunotherapies. But immunotherapies, while they have great hope, they don't work for the majority of patients. So it has revolutionised care in cancers such as melanoma and lung, but it has shown very limited benefit in bowel cancer. leaving patients with advanced disease with fewer treatment options. So this research that we have done, which is led by Dr. Isha O'Neill and Dr. Oliver Tracy, focuses on why it doesn't work as well in some bowel cancer patients, which is quite a challenge. So what we did was we took samples from tumours that respond well and tumours that don't respond well, and we looked at the differences in those tumours. And what we saw was that there was a very high number of these normal cells around the tumour cells in the tumours that don't respond to therapy. And these normal cells we call stromal cells. And not only was there a higher number of these stromal cells, what we discovered was they were hiding the immune system away from fighting the cancer. So what we did then was try to figure out, well, are these cells communicating with each other? Why are the immune cells close to the normal cells and not near the tumour cells? And what we discovered that bowel cancer cells can trick the normal cells into shutting down two of our most important tumour-fighting immune cells called natural killer cells and macrophages, and it leaves them unable to attack the bowel cancer cells. So we then discovered how they do this. They produce a cloak, which is made of sugar molecules called thiologlycans, and this cloak allows them to communicate with the immune cells. And what it does is the receptors on the immune cells on their surface sense that cloak and they turn off. So what we did was we took two approaches. We removed the sugar cloak using both a targeting mechanism that stops it being produced and also a targeting mechanism that cuts it off the surface. And what we found was when we did that our first-line defenders in the immune system, those tumour-fighting cells, NK cells and macrophages, became activated. And this activation allowed for better bowel cancer killing and reduced metastasis. We showed this in using different models in the lab and also using cells taken from bowel cancer samples, which were generously donated by patients at University Hospital Galway, led by a collaboration with Professor Aisling Hogan and Professor Sean Hines.
And I suppose, Aideen, the real concern here is the treatment people are receiving if they have bowel cancer. You know, this obviously needs to be reviewed now in line with the study that has been carried out.
So what we believe our next steps are, so the knowledge that we have gained from this study allows us now to understand how they're communicating, right? So what's exciting about it is we're working with a company in the US called Pallion Pharmaceuticals, who are developing drugs to target these sugar cloaks on the stromal cells. And the drugs are in clinical trials and have shown safety and some evidence of immune activation, although these trials are very early phase. But the plan is now to test the effects of combining the targeting of the mechanism we've discovered along with some of the approved immunotherapies in the clinic to see if that combination might work better and improve immune responses to bowel cancer. But we've got lots of further research to do. We need further investment to realise this potential of the discovery. But it's obviously also really great to have been able to carry this out in the west of Ireland, where cancer outcomes are probably not what they should be. And that basically this research will allow us to do the translational research component to build a comprehensive cancer centre into the future that will hopefully give prospects and hope to cancer patients in the west of Ireland.
And obviously, you know, the amount of people, you know, living with bowel cancer that have received treatment for bowel cancer here in Ireland, it's over 2,500 annually. So there's a great need for this to be reviewed.
That's right. I mean, treatments are evolving all the time, and bowel cancer is complex, right, because we don't fully understand what's causing the increases. So that's one question that still remains to be answered. And we also don't understand what is important for patients to respond to immunotherapy. So I guess this knowledge gives us that bit of information that brings us a step closer to understanding how we can combine those to improve outcomes. Because as you said, the diagnosis of bowel cancer is increasing, which presents a clinical problem.
And I know you've mentioned that you need to carry out further research. Is there any changes that can be implemented now in the interim?
Well, none of our research right now has gone through the approval process for drug development. So what we have done is created research models that allows us to answer mechanistic questions. So the next step would be that we would move those in line with looking at, as I said earlier, how we can combine those with drugs that are already approved and start that process of combination drug development, which obviously takes time. All of this research needs to be validated. Even we've used patient samples from Galway. We need to validate that through international collaborations as well, which will be the likely next step.
Yeah, but definitely a great first step. Aidan Ryan, Professor in Tumour Immunology, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And if you need any more information or you want to read more about that study, you can find out more information in the Journal for Immunotherapy. We're going to take another quick break and we'll be back shortly.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
At DoorTech Garage Door Systems in Kilmacrennan, we specialise in the supply and installation of all types of industrial roller doors and garage doors. Whether for your home, business or farm, our doors offer the security you need. For premium quality doors, call DoorTech on 9139941 or visit doortech.ie.
Dad, who's Nissan?
Who?
Nissan. Uncle Pork said Nissan did him a mighty deal on his cool new car.
Nissan. His new Nissan. Oh yeah, he did get a mighty deal.
Uncle Porg is right. Get 4K your way today. Choose a €4,000 finance contribution or a 4K trade-in bonus on a new Nissan. It's a mighty deal, however you say it. See nissan.ie for details. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
At Hidden Hearing, we believe you should keep hearing it all. Keep dancing. Keep celebrating. Keep laughing. Keep being you. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie and book a free hearing test today. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
Autumn is alive with a kaleidoscope of colour, nature and adventure at National Trust NI. Unwind and relax with a crunchy leaf walk through Llewellyn Garden. Sample the finest seasonal food at Florence Court's Harvest Fair. Gaze into the majestic mirror-like lake at Mount Stewart. And breathe in the beautiful garden at Castle Ward. Or delight with frightful fun on one of our trails this Halloween half-term. Come along and make wonderful memories this autumn. Search National Trust NI today.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor? With a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
Shekelatha ama Highland Radio. Arna Dortugat ag Airgrid. Uproar agus forbor an go letrahas na Héireann. Airgrid. Pobal a guachtu, era a guachtu. Tá
sé 20 past 11 now. The country is preparing to take to the polls once again this coming Friday to elect the next President of Ireland. I'm joined by Brian Dawson, who is Communications and Public Affairs Manager with the Electoral Commission. Good morning to you, Brian.
Good morning, Michaela. Thanks for having us on.
No problem.
It seems like there's regular elections these days.
Happens a lot now, doesn't it? And I'm sure it's an extremely busy time for yourselves there with the Electoral Commission.
Yeah, we've been going, and actually we've been running our voter registration campaign since August, really working with people and with different communities just to make sure that people were registered to vote so that come Friday they actually have an opportunity to cast their vote.
Yeah, and I suppose this piece is all about voting. So we'll start with how people can prepare to vote.
Yeah, well, as I say, Friday is the big day. It's polling day, the 24th of October. Polls are open from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. And you don't need to bring much with you to vote, but you do need to bring some ID. So, driver's license, student card, any of that sort of thing. And also, we do get a question a lot about whether people need to bring their polling cards. Now, you don't need to bring your polling card, but if you have it, it speeds up the process. It just makes it easier for the polling staff to find your name on the list. But then you go into the polling station, get your ballot paper, make sure that your ballot paper has been stamped by the polling staff, because they need to do that. And then off you go into the privacy of your polling booth and you write number one for your most preferred candidate. And it's up to yourself then if you continue on with your preferences two and three. So, the choice is yours. And what we always say to people is your vote is your voice. If you don't have your say in this election, someone else will be deciding for you who is going to be our next president. And you wouldn't let someone else decide for you in any other aspect of your life. So why do it in an election?
Absolutely. And Brian, have you seen, in terms of the number of people registering to vote, have you seen there been an increase since the previous, I think it was the last one we had was the general election, was it?
Yeah, so actually, as I was saying, since we started running our registration campaign in August, we've seen 61,000 new people apply to be added to the register, and actually another 30,000 people apply to update their details. So that's really positive. And we were out and about at the ploughing, at Electric Picnic. We've been at loads of different college campuses and so on. And like there is a real desire to have your say from people, and particularly young people we've been finding. So we got some figures yesterday of how many people are actually on the register for this presidential election. And there's 127,789 presidential electors in Donegal alone, and 3.6 million across the country. So a lot of people eligible to use their vote. And what we say is please do get out and use your vote.
Yeah, and just having a quick scan of those figures, that's one of the highest, if not the highest in the country, is it, in Donegal?
It is. It is. So obviously it's great to see. And we're aware that sometimes people can go, oh, well, I might be busy on Friday. I might have, we all have busy lives, dropping off kids, going to work, getting the shopping done, whatever it is. But what we're saying to people between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m., make a plan and maybe have it in your head that you're going to vote maybe first thing in the morning or lunchtime, or do it after work, and stick to that plan, because days run away very quickly, but it only takes 10 15 minutes to vote, but it's so important. And the next time potentially you could have the next chance to vote in a presidential election would be 2032. So these presidential elections don't come around very often, and now's your chance to have your say.
Yeah, and in terms of someone who maybe hasn't received a polling card, how do they go about that?
Well, I suppose don't worry if you haven't received your polling card and you think or you're on the register, you don't need your polling card. If you want to double check that you're on the register, there's a website called checktheregister.ie, and that's very simple. You just put in your air code or your address and your name, and your details should pop up. Um, Unfortunately, if you're not registered at this point, the deadline has passed for people to register in order to be able to vote in the presidential election. So that ship has sailed, but you can still register for future elections. And I suppose presidential elections are like referendums in that you can only vote if you're an Irish citizen, if you're aged over 18, if you're a resident in the state, and if you're on the electoral register. So they're the kind of four boxes that you need to tick in order to be able to vote.
And we obviously saw Jim Gavin pull out of the race to be the next president, but his name will still be on the ballot paper, is that correct?
That is correct. So we've had, as you can imagine, Michaela, a lot of questions about this. So we're very happy to provide as much clarity as people need. There are three candidates on the ballot paper. Although, as you say, one of the candidates is withdrawn from the campaign. The deadline had already passed for him to be taken off the ballot paper. So that deadline was actually the 24th of September. So there's three valid names and candidates on your ballot paper. a vote for any of them is a valid vote, and any vote that you cast for each of those three candidates will be counted in the normal way,
Okay.
and any of those three candidates can be elected president.
So it won't be obviously counted as a spoiled vote then. He is still eligible to be elected.
No, it's a totally valid vote. So, as I say, think carefully about how you're going to cast your vote, but it's any of the three candidates are valid candidates, and if you vote for them, it's just a vote for them.
Yeah. And in relation to the number of spoiled votes, do you anticipate that there will be quite a number? I suppose every election, people say that they're going to spoil their vote, but there does seem to be a bit of momentum behind that, unfortunately, this time.
Yeah, look, I suppose what goes on between a person and their ballot paper in the privacy of the polling booth is their own choice. But what we say to people is, first of all, every election we see thousands of votes which are accidentally invalidated, so accidentally spoiled, where people maybe don't make a clear first preference, where maybe the polling staff have forgotten to stamp the vote, or where people unintentionally, I'd say, rather than accidentally, write something on their ballot paper that they didn't mean to spoil their vote. So, up Donegal,
Right.
Mayo for Sam, whatever
Yeah.
you're having yourself. We see this all the time in every election, that people kind of write light-hearted comments, sometimes draw pictures on their ballot papers. And we don't know, obviously, but we think quite often that they do that in the expectation that it won't affect their vote. That they voted, say they put their number one in the box, but also maybe written something else on the ballot paper. And we just want to make really clear to people that if you write anything else on your ballot paper, apart from the numbers in the boxes, then the returning officer can adjudicate on that ballot and can say that it's an invalid vote.
Okay.
So if you want to cast your vote, if you want your vote to count for who wins the election, then you have to fill it in correctly and not write anything else on the
Yeah.
ballot paper.
A listener has asked, can I take my own pen to the polling station, or do I have to use the pencil provided?
This is a really good question, and it's one we get a lot, actually. There's always pencils provided at the polling stations, but you can absolutely bring your own pen, bring your own biro, bring your own marker, and that's no bother at all. In fact, someone I know uses the same biro in every election they voted
Right.
in since they were 18, and it's kind of like their
Oh,
little
tradition.
tradition. So we all have our own things. The reason why pencils are provided, and there are some theories, some of them a bit kooky around this, but pencils don't dry up.
Mhm.
They can be stored for periods between elections. They're pretty reliable, as we know from being in primary school, where they use a lot of
Yeah.
pencils, and they're there when you need them. They get the sharpener out, and they can be recycled. So that's really the reason why pencils are used. But you can bring your own biro, you can bring your own pen.
Yeah. Another listener, you have answered this anyway. What is a spoiled vote, and would voting the third candidate who dropped out be considered a spoiled vote? But you've confirmed
Yeah.
that
Well,
it won't.
I'll clarify it again. A vote for any of the three candidates on the ballot paper is a valid vote and will be counted as a valid vote. Um, if anything else is written on your ballot paper, if your preference isn't clear, or if your ballot paper isn't stamped, they're all reasons that it could be a spoiled vote or classed as an invalid vote.
Yeah. Another has asked, what is the quota in the Irish presidential count, and how does that work? Does that be set ahead of people voting, or is that
No,
after
the quota is based on the number of people who
the
actually
turnout?
vote. And actually, I suppose importantly, the quota is set in relation to the number of valid votes. So
Okay.
I know we've been talking about spoiled votes, but spoiled votes, once adjudicated as invalid, don't count towards the quota. So therefore, they don't also count towards who is elected. And the quota is based on the number of people who actually cast their vote validly.
Grand. And we're after the votes are cast, the polls close at 10 p.m. What's the process then, Brian?
Well, then there's a number of different count centres around the country. In Donegal, it's going to be the Ora Leisure Centre in Kilkenny, in Letterkenny.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be where the votes from Donegal are going to be brought securely, and on Saturday morning the ballot boxes will be opened up. The clips will be taken off the ballot boxes and they'll be opened and sorted and counted, and then that's happening at similar count centres across the country. And then, because it's a national election, there's a central count centre in Dublin Castle where the presidential returning officer will be overseeing, and his team will be overseeing the whole count and making the kind of formal declarations. So
So there won't
Saturday,
be declarations here locally, will there?
um, as far as I know, the figures are sent. There will be kind of, and there's a website. It's presidentialelection.ie, which will be keeping updated figures from the various count centres as the day goes on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. So keep an eye on that. And obviously, one of the brilliant quirks of Irish elections is tally men and tally women across the
Yeah.
country. We'll be keeping an eye on all the votes as they're taken out of the ballot boxes and
And that's
put.
nearly the most exciting part.
It is. It is. Like, obviously, working for the Electoral Commission, we're all political nerds and electoral nerds here. So we love elections, and the excitement around Irish elections is brilliant. And also, in an age of kind of uh, international challenges to democracy, it's Irish elections are very, very transparent. You can see your ballot paper. You
Yeah.
can see it obviously going into the box, being taken out of the box, being counted. So that gives people a real trust in the results and in the validity of Irish elections. And we're very proud here in Ireland to have one of the world's longest continuous democracies. So, to maintain that proud tradition, we do need people to participate and to have their say in elections. It's not enough to talk about candidates and
Mm-hmm.
to have various
Yeah.
moans, gripes, or to say positive things about candidates. You have to have your say at the ballot box.
Yeah, and that's where it matters, and that's where it matters for the next 7 years, I suppose, as well.
That's it.
Another listener has asked, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, Brian, why does Ireland not vote a vice president along with the president? That's maybe outside your scope, is it?
Well, it's a really, and actually, it's the first time I've had that question. But fundamentally, it comes down to our constitution, that the presidency and the role of it are set out in Articles 12 to 14 of the Constitution. The people who wrote that constitution, and the people who voted for it didn't include a reference to a vice president. So, unlike other systems, most notably, obviously, in the United States, we don't have a vice president. We have one man or woman for the job, and that's the way it is at the
Yeah.
moment.
And remind me of that. There's just a question, and will each counting centre publish how the county voted? Remind me of that website you said again.
Yeah, so there's a website, I think it's presidentialelection.ie, if I'm not mistaken, and that will be following the results from each of the count centres on Saturday. Obviously, I'd imagine yourselves in Highland Radio will be giving a lot of coverage to
Yeah,
what's
so we
going
can
on
stay tuned
in
here.
Letterkenny in the Count Centre there. And, media and other outlets will be covering all these counts. So, tune in and see how it's all going. So, it's always exciting around these counts to see how the votes are going.
Yeah, and you can anticipate so much and think with the sentiment, hearing people on the ground, but it's so interesting seeing how it develops throughout the day, who's performing where. And I think
Yeah.
the local elections are so interesting.
Mm.
The parochialness of it, and
Yeah.
identifying what candidates in what area, if they're performing well. It is a great time to be a journalist.
It is, and as I say, you love elections, we love elections, and we hope all your listeners love elections as well, because your vote is your voice, as I keep saying.
Yeah. Brian Dawson, Communications and Public Affairs Manager with the Electoral Commission. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and all the best as well for the weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Michaela.
We're going to take another quick break and we'll be back shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
It's the Donegal Creamery's Milk €500 cash splash. We're giving away €500 in cash every week. Scan the QR code on promotional packs of Donegal Creamery's milk and you could be making a splash with €500 cash. Pick up special packs of Donegal Creamery's milk in store to find out more. Terms and conditions apply. The €500 cash splash with Donegal Creamery's milk.
Stock up this week at Dunnes Stores with Diet Coke and Coke Zero 18-pack range, just €10 each. Cadbury Dairy Milk Buttons, Kit Kat 2 Finger Bars 8-pack and Tato Rancheros 100 gram, now half price. And introducing our 12 deals of Christmas with selected Sour Patch Kids multi-pack, Mars and Maltesers fun size multi-pack, all half price. And keep an eye out for next week's deal of the week. Plus, save more with your 10/50 voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop. Deposit return scheme fees apply.
October is here and things are getting spooky at your local Maple store. Stock up on all your favourite autumn snacks, warm treats and Halloween goodies. And don't forget to call in store to collect your Halloween colouring competition sheets for a chance to win spectacular prizes. Visit Maple Express Burton Port, Derrybeg, Ballyliffin, Moville or your local Maple store. Keeping it fresh, local and convenient. Follow your local Maple store on Facebook for more.
The Royal and Prior School Rafo invite all 5th and 6th class pupils and their families to their open night this Thursday, October 23rd from 4:30 till 7:30 p.m. Come along and explore the school, meet the staff and tour the boarding house. We look forward to welcoming you this Thursday at the Royal and Prior Rafo.
On Saturday, November 8th, Jackson's Hotel Balbuffet welcomes Dan McCabe, Ireland's rising folk sensation. Blending traditional with soul-stirring emotion, Dan's powerful performances have captivated audiences worldwide. Don't miss this unforgettable night of contemporary Irish folk. Tickets at hotel reception or visit jacksonshotel.ie for details.
For all you hard workers and multitaskers, those who come to work with big ambitions and bigger ideas, and all you legends of the trade, however you get the job done, there's a Volkswagen commercial vehicle for your business. Choose the new Transporter, Caddy Cargo, Crafter, Amarok, or the all-electric ID Buzz Cargo. Enjoy HB finance from 0% or purchase contributions of up to €2,000. Find the Volkswagen in you with the 261 range.
Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Visit volkswagenvans.ie for further information.
Order your 261 with Connolly's Volkswagen Commercials Letterkenny. See connellys.ie.
Just having a look at those figures that Brian Dawson from the Electoral Commission was discussing there. The number of presidential electors by the constituency. In Donegal, 127,789 people have registered to vote, and that is the highest figure in the country, the number of presidential electors registered. In terms of the presidential election, a listener says the reason people don't vote anymore is because it makes no odds. These people will be in government anyway, so why vote when they pick who they want to run? It's a joke, this country. This election is like watching paint dry, says another listener. Regarding the presidential election, the public are not interested because the public were not given a choice. Only three who the government want in, only three were chosen who the government want in, so I will be spoiling my vote if I vote at all. The government are handpicking who they know will toe the line and do as the government wants. A few people have in recent days come out in support of either Catherine Connolly or Heather Humphreys. Donegal Minister of State for Sport and Postal Policy Charlie McConlogue confirmed yesterday that he will be supporting Heather Humphreys in the presidential election this coming Friday. In a statement, he said, I have seen from working with Heather Humphreys her capabilities and know her to be a person of high calibre and good judgment and someone who understands the needs of rural Ireland in particular. Well, that isn't really surprising, is it, either, that Minister McConlogue is lending his support to Heather Humphreys. Daniel O'Donnell, on the other hand, says he will be voting for Heather Humphreys on Friday, but laments that the presidential race does not offer a greater choice to the electorate. He said that he would have been happy to see the race cancelled after Fianna Fáil candidate Jim Gavin withdrew from campaigning. I'll be voting for Heather Humphreys, yes, probably, he told the Sunday Independent. I don't know anything personally about either of them, but I suppose I just feel that Heather represents more of what I think, he said. And in terms of Catherine Connolly, I've seen a lot of celebrities, as we would classify them, supporting her. So I saw yesterday that Irish presenter Laura Whitmore had shared her support for Catherine Connolly, and NECAP as well seemed to be rowing in behind that key campaign. Lastly, on the presidential election, just a point in regard to the presidential election, the number of candidates and the alleged democratic deficit. In the 2018 and the 2011 elections, there were 6 and 7 candidates respectively. The same rules for eligibility applied, so obviously the system that a lot of people now want to change is not the problem. Maria Sheen, a capable and highly educated individual, could and should have entered the race earlier, but the big parties have a lot to answer for. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael control a massive block of the votes necessary to enter the race. They pay lip service to the mantra that the role of the presidency is not political, and then they back off the avenues where prospective candidates the avenues where prospective candidates could get on the ballot. There has been an erosion of real democracy in this country since the rerun of the Lisbon Treaty, and it has stepped up a notch with the advent of this Lowry government, and the Farsad is now our national parliament. Perhaps outrage at the approach to this presidential election might be the last straw, and people will say enough, but I'm not really expecting much. That is the view of that listener. Now, I'm joined by Kathleen Murray from the Save Donegal Animal Centre group. Good morning, Kathleen.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, good. So obviously we know that the ISPCA Donegal Animal Rehabilitation Centre was closed earlier this year. What is this latest stage of the campaign?
Well, what's happening at the moment is we're trying to get the support of people in the county to rally behind us and try to figure out what's going on with the centre, what's the future of the centre, and what we can do about the centre. So we've had a lot of good people who came to the protest, and out of that we have formed a group, and our mission is basically to try to get the centre up and running and back in the county for the animals of the county, because it was left, it was built through legacies that were left to the people of the county, and the centre has now become the legacy for those animals in the county. So we really need this centre. The other animal welfare groups are completely inundated with calls and animals that they don't have any space to take in, and they feel so bad about it themselves, because when you're an animal lover and you want to help animals, you want to be able to take these animals in and do something for them. But because the centre is closed now, that has closed a lot of animals out, and they have nowhere to go, they have nobody to help them, and so they're struggling. Everybody's struggling now in the county at the moment.
And we only had to look at, following the closure of the centre, a number of days later there was the huge seizure of puppies, I think, in Glenties. So there's such a need for such a service in Donegal.
There's a huge need for the service in Donegal, and it's so badly missed. And that centre dealt with the most wildlife of the other centres of the ISPCA. It dealt with the most cats. And so it's an absolute necessity to the county, to be honest, So we definitely and desperately need that back. So what we're trying to encourage people to do is to look at our Facebook page, because all of our information is on there. We're also on Instagram, and it's called Save the Donegal Animal Centre, and we encourage people to like and follow that page, because we need a lot of support. We need all of the people of Donegal behind us to be able to get anywhere at all, because we need to show that Donegal is serious about wanting to get the centre back and open and up and running again.
Yeah, and most importantly too, you have a petition on that page as well, so the more signatures you get, the greater impact that will make as well, and hopefully getting a positive outcome.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And we had a very fruitful meeting yesterday with Donegal County Council, who are already having meetings with the ISPCA over the dog warden situation. And so they're now going to join in and look into what's happening with the centre and what the future of the centre is going to be as well. So it's great to have them interested and helpful like that.
And is the council, are they of the view that the centre should be up and running? Do they think maybe it should be relocated, or it's just getting the existing one back up and running?
No, they know that it was built for the animals of the county, and they're looking into how to get that open again and to be of benefit to the animals of the county. So they will meet with the ISPCA and bring up these questions as to what the future is going to be. So we really welcome their help on this and their input. And as I say, we had a very good meeting with them yesterday. So hopefully we'll be able to meet with them again sometime soon and see if they have any updates or have found out anything in the meantime, or how they may be able to support us going forward.
And as you did say, the centre did close at such short notice, but was there any plans laid out with regards to the future of the centre, or it was just the building was going to lie empty indefinitely?
I'm not sure, because the ISPCA made all those decisions with the DSPCA and that's the Dublin SPCA. So people get confused in the SPCAs, and I can understand that because it has a bit of a mind bender. The ISPCA was the main group, and then other SPCAs were affiliates, in the surrounding counties and the other counties. And Donegal SPCA started out as one of those affiliates and built the centre out of the money for the legacies. And the ISPCA had their own constitution, they have their own laws and rules, you could say, or whatever. All the affiliates are the same. They all operate under their own constitution, so some may vary a bit compared to others, depending on the county, depending on the needs and things like that. But so it can be confusing for people. They don't necessarily have anything to do with each other all the time, but the ISPCA was always seen as the main group and helped out the affiliates when they could. But that's all changed now because the ISPCA claimed that they were in financial difficulty and that they did a review. I have no paperwork on that review, so I can't tell you what it even was. Did they have an accountant? Did they not? That's a question people will have to ask as well. So there's lots of questions still to be asked and to find out what exactly is going on, and did the regulator approve the handing over of our centre as an asset? Things like that we really do need to dig deeper and look into and find out where it's all at. But we're determined to do all that and to open up that Pandora's box and to have a look at what's really going on and why our centre was the only one to close, as it was the smallest centre and it didn't have to close because there were loads of options open to the ISPCA. They could have went on Highland Radio and alerted the people to their demise, basically, and asked for the support and the help. They could have run fundraisers in the county. They could have sold a field that's attached to the centre because there's 13 acres down there and invested that in the centre. That centre did not have to close. So it closed for a reason at short notice that many people are just not aware of. So we have to look into all of that.
And have you had any correspondence, Kathleen, from the regulator or, the ISPCA since the centre's closed at all?
No, what happens, well, I sent emails to the ISPCA and the DSPCA. The DSPCA doesn't answer, but all of a sudden the ISPCA then come on, and so you know that they have probably been given the email or shown the email that I've sent or whatever, and they respond, but they always respond with the same couple of lines that mean nothing. Basically, there's no answer in it. They have no plan for the future yet. They have nothing going for them at all, really, in relation to the centre up here. So you wonder, are they thinking of selling it? Are they, what the plan actually is for it? And they need to be a lot clearer. They need to have a plan, to bring it back to the county again at least, because they were handed that centre, and the least they could do is hand it back if they can't run it.
Yeah, and I suppose that's, there's such a personal element to it as well because of that legacy, side of the development of the centre, that's, it's the care for the animals, but that's that emotional attachment as well.
Absolutely, because it was left by people from Donegal, basically, in their wills for the animals of Donegal. So that couldn't be clearer. That really couldn't be clearer, and that's what it's meant for. It's meant for the animals of Donegal. So that centre should never leave the county. It was never the plan for that centre to leave the county, and the ISPCA just made this decision. And now by December, we're on a time scale here. By December, they will have joined with the DSPCA because they're still operating separately as well. But they will now then become the national group, the NSPCA, which is even more confusing for people. But and the asset will then, be gone completely. So we need to look into it before all that happens. So we really, really need the support of the people of the county. We need this county to show that they're sincere about their animals, they care about their animals, and they want that centre back for their animals.
Yeah, and remind us again, Kathleen, of the Facebook page that has been set up.
It's called Save the Donegal Animal Centre.
Great.
And it's also on Instagram. So, yeah, if you could maybe read that out at some stage again, just to remind people. And the group that has been put together from the protest are great people. They have a lot of input, and they're doing their best to help the people to join us and to help us out, and also to, try to put stuff out there that are interesting, like the petition and things like that, trying to keep it going. So we need people to share that all over the place. We really need people to share the posts of that page and the updates, because we need to see the support.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That is Kathleen Murray of the Save the Donegal Animal Centre, and as she outlined there, that is the name of the Facebook and Instagram page, and there is a petition online as well, which people are being encouraged to sign.
Take a few days away and join us for the Highland Radio Country Cabin Getaway this February at the Sleeve Russell Hotel from Monday the 2nd to Thursday the 5th. Enjoy dinner, bed and breakfast and a fantastic lineup of live country music from Dominic Kerwin, Louise Morrissey, Sean Keane, John McNichol, Owen Mack, Jimmy Buckley, David James and Band, Trevor Lockery, Matt Levy and White Lightning. All this for €495 per person sharing. Single supplement applies. To book your place, call Highland Radio on 91 25000 or visit the outlet on highlandradio.com. That's the Highland Radio Country Cabin Getaway this February. Great music, great company, and a few days to unwind.
If you have a special occasion coming up, Watson Menswear stock a great selection of men's and boys' formal and casual wear. Top casual brands include Mishmash, French Connection, Tommy Bow and Penguin. Formal wear names include Rimazumo, Sixth Sense and White Label, with a special suit deal of a 3-piece suit, shirt, tie and shoes, all for only €299. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
Ready to upgrade your car? At Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town, we've got a great selection of makes and models to suit every budget. With flexible finance option and trade-ins welcome, upgrading has never been easier. Visit ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to see us at Shane Conley Cars, Drumlonagher, Donegal Town.
So, what's your favourite tool? For some it's their hammer, passed down from their dad with just the right balance, or that new go-to impact driver. Here's a tool that's sure to become your new favourite, the new Screwfix app. Download today to browse, check stock, get exclusive offers and quicker collection when you check in the app. The new Screwfix app, your new favourite tool.
Forward Festival presents The Big Hoolie, featuring Whistling Donkeys, All Folked Up, Derek Warfield and Young Wolf Tones, Danny Byrne Band and High Flying Paddies. Bank Holiday Saturday, 25th of October. The Marquee, Letterkenny at Kiltoy. Tickets available from forwardfestival.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in-store or shop online at mcelhinneys.com today.
Today's weather, mostly cloudy with showery outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Scattered showers and sunny spells will develop through the day. Highest temperatures of 10 to 11 degrees and moderate to fresh west to northwest winds. Just a couple of minutes of time for some of your comments now in relation to number plates. They are complaining about number plates. What about the large number of cars that have totally blacked out front windows and windscreen? There doesn't seem to be anything done about this by the Gardaí, even though it's illegal and easily spotted. It's so ridiculous that Apple CarPlay, etc. is promoted for people to use their phones in the car. All I see on my TikTok For You page are products to use your phone in your car. I think possibly the Apple CarPlay the aim is to maybe improve safety, that you can access your Spotify, your contact book, so it's effectively turning your dash into your phone. But I don't know if apps like TikTok or Instagram or whatever, if social media apps would work through Apple CarPlay. I'm not entirely sure. Using your phone while driving is so dangerous. All it takes is a split second for an accident to happen. And never mind making a call on your phone. As a lorry driver, I see drivers watching TikToks and Netflix. That's a far bigger concern, absolutely. Do they have it on as background noise, Netflix, or are they actively watching it? Is absolutely crazy. I don't know how people can concentrate on the road. If you step into someone's car and it's, a lot modern than the one you have. I have the dials to turn up the heating, but if someone then has, it's a touch screen to turn up the heat, I nearly have to stop the car to turn it up or do it before I move off, because I just can't concentrate. There's so many different elements to it. It's nearly like using your phone and you're going through different apps. It's totally distracting. So there is no excuse for anyone holding a phone while driving these days, as most cars have good fitted car kits, says that listener. Well, that's where we have to leave it on the show today. John Breslin is coming up next on Around the Northwest. Thank you so much to Caroline Orr and to Shannon Wilkin for producing and for all their help on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow from 9 o'clock. Good morning.